has decided to make coal a more important part of our energy portfolio. Well, that's a good policy decision. And Lieutenant Governor Wasinger was invited to the White House to be there when the president made that announcement. And so I figured this was going to be energy and policy and important and interesting. But it turned out to be, frankly, a lot more poignant than I expected. Here's what our lieutenant governor had to say. At that announcement, where President Trump unveiled his executive order regarding coal and energy, Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger was there, and he joins us right now. And Lieutenant Governor, good to chat with you again. Really appreciate you being on the program here. So first and foremost, I want to talk about the addition of coal itself, because this has an effect on the Show Me State. I think a lot of people don't realize. I certainly didn't. But what was it that the president announced, and what do you think were the most important parts of his announcement regarding coal? Because for a lot of people, like I said, I think this came out of nowhere. They're thinking coal. I thought we just made up our minds we're getting away from coal. And the president says, no, bring it back and add it to the list of energy sources.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys, for having me on. Yeah, the White House reached out to me last week and asked me to come out and visit with his team. And I met President Trump, and they asked me to attend the signing ceremony. Gave me a front row seat to see President Trump sign the executive order, because Missouri is dependent on coal. It powers nearly 60% of our electricity. So he signed an executive order, not get too far in the weeds, where he's going to direct the chair of the National Energy Dominance Council to designate coal as a mineral. He directed the Secretary of the Interior to end a moratorium on which had paused coal leasing on federal lands. He's identified coal resources on federal lands, lifted barriers to coal mining. He had a lot of coal miners there. So he's really looking out for Main Street and not Wall Street. He really was fighting for these coal workers. He's fighting for Missourians to try to keep our energy prices down and try to get us back to energy independence. So it was a very, very worthwhile visit to the White House, and I met his intergovernmental relations team, and we visited, and they made abundantly clear that they will do anything and everything to help Missouri out. So it was a very, very good meeting.
Good morning, Gabe here. So you mentioned that most of our power comes from coal-fired plants. So you expect this to drop our energy prices in the state?
Yeah. So one of the issues I didn't know about, and you and your listeners may not know, the governor of Wyoming sat right next to me. And we import most of our coal from Wyoming. We don't produce it here in Missouri. We get most of it from Wyoming. So he and I compared notes and started a relationship there. So it was a learning experience for me. But yeah, they're going to hit Wyoming hard. Montana, Governor of Montana was there. So they're looking for energy independence and bring energy prices down, which will help Missouri because it's just going to flow through. He made the example, President Trump did. It's a reliable source of energy. A bomb could go off today. Nuclear would be affected. Other things may be affected. But I'll tell you what, you wake up the following morning, coal's still going to be there and ready to go. So he is really fighting for Missouri and fighting for Main Street. Okay.
Do we have any coal under our soil as well? Or is this something that we're going to need to bring in? I mean, if we're going to bring it in from somewhere, let's bring it in from the United States, obviously. But is this something that can be developed as a sector within the state itself?
We have a very small amount of coal. So probably less than 2% of coal would be produced out of Missouri. So the majority of it is brought out of Wyoming, Montana. Obviously, West Virginia is a big coal producing state. So we import a lot of the coal because we just don't have a tremendous amount of it here in Missouri. It's too expensive, and I won't get into the nitty gritty, sure. But we are going to import it, but it will be from the United States. It'll be from Wyoming, Montana, West Virginia. And that will, to the extent they can drill and get after it, I think it's going to benefit Missourians.
Okay, we are visiting with Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger. And so I think the thing that probably stood out so much is the fact that the president's talking about coal in such a positive way, because obviously over the last 25, 30 years, the narrative has been, this is dirty. We've got to get away from it. We've got to move to the, the renewable energy. And we just had a listener comment on, please ask him about the Grain Belt Express, because we're talking about all these transmission lines that are, affecting people's property rights. But it almost became a cause celeb to say, we are going to transition to these renewable energy sources, whether or not we're ready for them or not, as almost a matter of virtue signaling. I'm not against renewable energy. I just think everything should be in the basket and everything should be an option. We shouldn't write anything off. But is this showing a shift in energy policy and energy priorities that says we're not going to write anything off and we're not going to dismiss any energy sources while we need to bring down the cost of energy itself?
I think it's spot on. Yeah, President Trump mentioned that, he calls it liquid gold that's right underneath their feet, that's going to support hundreds of thousands of jobs and add tens of billions of dollars to the U.S. economy. But he's not letting go of, you got natural gas, and he's also embraced nuclear, clean coal, hydropower, which he thinks is fantastic, and other form of affordable energy to get it done. He withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement. He's just doing a lot of good things. Terminated the Green New Deal. Mm-hmm. He's unleashed Alaska's extraordinary resource potential. He declared a national energy emergency. He's reversed the pause on liquefied natural gas. He's cutting the red tape to speed up the federal permitting process. So he's just getting after it real hard. I mean, these guys are on it. They've reached out to our office several times to see if we have any input or thoughts. I think they just want to make Missouri great again and make America great again.
You just used the term clean coal, which the president used this week as well. Explain what that means, because coal was particularly and has been particularly demonized by the environmentalist activist group as, being a pollutant and all this sorts of stuff. But what do we mean by clean coal? What's changed from then until now regarding coal?
Well, it's funny, President Trump, and when he references coal, he says, "Now, I never allow anybody to come into my office and just say coal. They have to use beautiful, clean coal." He says they will not be allowed to say it. As soon as they say just coal, I tell them to stop right there. It's always beautiful, clean coal, and if they don't say that, they're not allowed in my office. So
the associated
he made that clear that you refer to it as beautiful, clean coal. It's so he get after it. And what I think he wants to do is, he's environmentally catcher. He and his son, his son loves the outdoors. I want clean air. I want clean water. So the way we get after this coal, we need to make sure we do it in a responsible way. So as he says, beautiful, clean coal, so we'll make sure we keep the environment clean and safe as we're mining this coal.
The Associated Press is not going to like that rule.
Yeah. They may end up getting kicked out again.
Yeah, that was funny. He made clear though that beautiful, clean coal.
So what's next then when it comes to Missouri policy or energy? What is next? I mean, we're already importing from places like Wyoming and obviously you said West Virginia and Virginia, that area. But what is next as far as what Missouri should be doing, whether it's incorporating coal? I'm a fan of nuclear energy as well. When we look at the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, when energy production is going to be absolutely life and death crucial, what are the things we should be doing now to prepare for that next era, for lack of a better term?
Well, here's a step I did, and there's another one of the benefits of going out of the White House is I established a lot of relationships with his staff who are fantastic and these governors. But the other step I'm going to take is the rural co-ops, electric co-ops. They kind of power, most of Missouri. So I reached out yesterday. I'm going to be meeting with the head of the co-op association, and he asked if I could come speak and visit with all of his members. He saw me at the White House, realized I was plugged into there. So my next step is learning more about the energy process in Missouri. I'm going to meet it with the rural co-op. He literally reached out to me. The head of the rural co-op in Kentucky sat next to me, and the Missouri guy and the Kentucky guy texted me they were going out for a beer last night. So there's a dialogue to take place here and a lot of learning to do and a lot of comparing notes. But I think we've got a good team together. I think we're going to move this thing forward.
All right, Lieutenant Governor David Wasinger, thanks so much for the update, especially when y'all let me know that you were being invited to the White House, because there are states that have a lot of coal. Some of our listeners are commenting, Illinois has a lot of coal, but J.B. Pritzker hates coal. He doesn't want it used, out there. So this is an area where we can keep our cost down and have more reliable, and other states are needlessly going to put themselves at risk. So I really appreciate the update.
Always a pleasure. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, what 80s bump music that you requested is going to end up? Let's start finding out here in just a little bit, maybe in about 2.5 minutes, right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Mike Ferguson. Gabe Phifer. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are. And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, Serenity Wealth Management. And joining me in studio this week for Serenity Wealth Now Radio, my good friends Brian and Christian with Precision Raw. We are going to talk about nutrition. Specifically, in honor of National Pet Day, we're going to talk about the furry friends that we have in our lives and the nutritional balance they have, because we are living longer lives as humans right now. But you know what? Maybe our pets can benefit from a more holistic and natural diet as well. So join me Sunday morning, 9 a.m. right here on News Talk STL.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Confused about tariffs and trade policies? The Hammond Institute at Lindenwood University and News Talk STL present economist Dr. Nicholas L. Zebarth in their H.F. Langenberg Memorial Speaker Series. Join us April 24th as Dr. Zebarth breaks down what tariffs really are, how they work, and separates economic fact from fiction. Don't miss this chance to expand your economic understanding with one of Missouri's leading experts. Reserve your spot now at newstalkstl.com.
Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right. Interesting possibility downtown St. Louis this weekend.
Ooh.
And it's not really a sports thing, although it kind of is a sports thing. There's a lot of sports happening downtown. I mean, I'll have the whole list in the news up here in just a little bit. But we all know the fans are not happy with the Cardinals front office. The Cardinals have had some record low attendance. So they've got competition on Sunday in particular. This is going to be interesting to see what's going on here. 547, I'm Mike. That's Jerome there. Don't forget, News Talk STL's podcast, our on-demand listening. Great way to load up stuff for the weekend. You're driving around, get caught up on things. You can hear, for instance, our discussion yesterday and debate whether or not Missouri and Illinois should become legal mutual combat states.
Yes. And anybody that listens to the show should probably they could probably guess where we stand.
Right, exactly. Look at that. And also our new graphic that sometimes gets mixed in on, the thumbnail graphic there. There's the picture of me and then Todd Showalter, who does the Right Mind show every weekend here. He drew a special picture for us. You can check that out as well there. All right, let's see here. Here's what's interesting here. The Cardinals and the Battlehawks are going to be playing at the same time at home on Sunday.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Busch Stadium and the Dome, you're talking what, 2 miles, 3 miles difference, something like that. The Cardinals have had record low attendance after opening day.
Wow.
So at one point they had, now it was a weeknight, the weather wasn't great, but they had like 20,000 people at a game.
Yeah.
The Battlehawks could draw 30, 35, 38,000 people. Now, on a Sunday afternoon, the Battlehawks play at 2:00. The Cardinals play at 1:15, so they'll be playing at the same time. Is it possible that the UFL, in head-to-head competition with Major League Baseball, that the UFL in St. Louis could outdraw the St. Louis Cardinals for one day?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
in theory, it could happen.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the numbers between the two, I don't think that
Mhm.
it's really even a close comparison where people are spending their time and their attention right now.
Yeah, because also you can go to a Battlehawks game pretty inexpensively. Major League Baseball, not so much. Although you can, if you wait till the last minute, you can get tickets pretty cheap. If you do the Ticket, StubHub, whatever those websites are, because the closer you get to a game, the more that they're desperate to sell those tickets, and so those ticket prices do go down. Now on a Sunday afternoon game, and I didn't look at the weather weather forecast.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's a decent day on Sunday, and then the 70s. So the Cardinals should have a good turnout. But it kind of dawned on me thinking, what are the fans going to do? Because you've got that competition, and the UFL generally wants to avoid competing with Major League Baseball, in the different markets. However, ABC is carrying that game nationally.
Ooh.
So this is a TV time, kickoff time at 2:00 that it's going to be on Channel 30. So that's as much for a TV thing as anything else.
Now, do you think it's more likely that people at the Battlehawks will be streaming the Cardinals game, or will people be at the Cardinals game streaming the Battlehawks?
I think people at the Battlehawks game will be streaming the Cardinals game more likely, or at least keeping track of it. Like I've got an app on my phone that I get real-time updates on what's happening in MLB and in the NHL. I've got the UFL app. I've got all of that. So it just kind of was interesting because, the Cardinals aren't playing well. They started off first 4 or 5 games playing pretty well. And then they kind of became what we thought they were going to become. Now they're going to have good hot streaks, and there's a talent on the field, but people are mad at the front office.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew that going into the season. The fans are sending a message to the front office. I think the front office knows exactly what the fans are saying. And the front office has basically said, no, just be patient for another year. Cardinals fans are saying, we've been patient for the last decade.
Yes.
That's what they're mad about. And so it's going to be fascinating on Monday. Now, my guess is Sunday afternoon games get a good turnout. I think the Cardinals will probably outdraw the Battlehawks. And in the end, it's not a good competition head to head for the Battlehawks because the UFL is it's a secondary league. I think it's a perfect fit for St. Louis. But I think if somebody has the choice and you've got the resources, you're probably going to go to the Cardinals game rather than the UFL game. Although there's a lot of people who say, wait a minute, I can go see professional sports for $30 versus, $80.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go do that.
And the Battlehawks just unveiled their mascot,
Archie.
Yeah, Archie.
I want Archie to come into the studio.
I would love.
But here's the thing: Archie doesn't talk because he's a mascot. But I at least want the picture with Archie. I want to see if they've got like little stuffed Archies, because there's got to be a kid somewhere who would love a little stuffed Archie, the Battlehawk.
I think we're talking to that kid right now. Actually,
probably.
That
There
kid's
you
name's
go.
Mike. Yeah,
that's they've got to sell that, because I actually don't know that a lot of the other UFL teams have like the mascots running around the stadium. And it was funny because whoever was in the mascot outfit, we saw that was a video that came out, and we're kind of cracking up because it was clearly somebody who probably hadn't done this before, because they were used to like the big foam feet or whatever. And so they were just sort of doing the big foot stomp, there. So,
it was more of like a trot than like a
Right.
march or a gallop,
I used to think that would be fun to do the mascot job.
Oh, yeah.
It would be but then I thought it's going to get hot and smelly in that thing pretty fast. So, but that's a special kind of a comedy that you do in entertainment there. So I'm glad that they've added that. Hopefully this just builds, because the potential with the Battlehawks to become a real ingrained part of St. Louis is just unlimited in St. Louis. more so than I would say any other city in the country right now. And I don't mean that because I'm a homer and it's a St. Louis thing and I'm here. I really think that the way that the market has embraced this team and this league and the way the team has embraced the city, everybody is just firing on all cylinders. And I think there could be something really, really big here. Last year was not an anomaly. I think that I would love to see 35,000 people at that game. I have my own game on Sunday afternoon at the same time. And so that's why nobody's going to show up to Old Man Baseball because you know what? We just can't compete with the UFL at the same time.
Oh, that's why they're
That's
not.
why they're not going to show up.
That's the
right.
only reason they're not. You're not selling 30,000 people.
They're
right?
not going to drive all the way out to O'Fallon, Illinois this time. To watch Old Man Baseball play Sunday afternoon.
Okay, I got to say though, for a guy in his 50s, you play like you're still in your 40s, and that's actually pretty impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I put a lot into it. So so we'll be playing then. Okay, so here's another thing. Let me switch topics here a little bit. Then we get the news dump coming your way here at 6:05. Just to warn everybody, I'm in one of those weird moods today. So anything could happen today. Just saying, let's have some fun with this. There are some people. This is one of my philosophies in life, Jerome, which I don't think I've talked to you about before. I think there are some people in life, God puts them on this planet just to make the rest of us feel better about ourselves by comparison.
I believe it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the case here of Anna Marie Martinez. And she is in her mid-40s. She's in Utah. And for some reason, she didn't want to pull over when the police went to pull her over.
Can't do that.
No. So she decided to floor it. At one point, they clocked her at 120 miles an hour.
Wow.
And they're on a chase. So they put out the spikes and she avoids them the first time, but they get her the second time. And so she ends up with a disabled car because the tire, at least one of the tires is blown out by the spikes. And so the police are approaching and they're surrounding the vehicle. And what does Anna Mae? What does Anna Mae do? She calls AAA. She needs them to come fix her tire because the police blew out her tire. So, she has a membership probably. You call AAA. I've always had good experience. Most of the time I've had good experiences with AAA. I had one crappy one. But they're good at coming out and fixing tires. And so she had a tire and she has a membership. Why wouldn't they come out and fix her tire?
I can absolutely imagine this person trying to take the police department to court saying, look at the damage they did in my car. Yeah. Like, come on.
And that's the thing is, I don't even know why they were chasing her other than probably speeding. But during the standoff, she's on the phone with AAA and AAA is like, we're going to transfer your call. And they transfer it to the police who then gets on there and convinces her to come out of the car where then they grab her and arrest her for, whatever she was doing. I wonder, I'm trying to figure out what would go through your head. Okay, the cops are here. I need to get away, but my tire's flat. I'll call AAA. They're going to let AAA through to fix the tire so I can start another chase and run away.
It reminds me of those old cartoons where like they run into an alley, they put like a fake disguise, clearly them still, but fake glasses, fake mustache, and the cops just run right past them. Like, is that what they thought was going to happen? Right. Can't be them. They have a flat tire, right?
No, it's not like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, where oh geez.
Way to start off the Friday morning.
I know, yeah. So and she's 45 years old. She knows better than this.
45
years old.
Oh, I was thought maybe it was like a 17, 18
No, 45.
You're too old to be acting like that. Come
45 years old. I mean, this would be like somebody, robbing, I don't know, like a Sephora store and then, while surrounded, ordering DoorDash. Good Lord.
You're not wrong.
Oh my goodness. All right. Get you caught up on the news here. And boy, Illinois leftists, is there anything that they don't want to just completely control and take away from local communities? The answer is apparently probably not. We'll get into that in a little bit as well.
Tim Jones here with Eric from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers. Eric, we often talk about the Newstetter's difference that folks feel right when they walk into the front door of the store.
Newstetter's Fine Jewelry is truly where honesty and integrity meet. We're all about quality at a fair price. Our goal is to guarantee that the gift you give will be loved for a lifetime. Come in and meet our professional staff that will put your needs above all else.
Experience that fantastic Newstetter's difference today at wowdiamonds.com. Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Along with a barrage of bluster, including a threat to fight to the end, China has fired another volley in the trade war with the U.S. Beijing says starting tomorrow, it will be boosting its tariffs on American goods from 84 to 125%. Despite it all, President Trump insisting he remains bullish on the U.S. economy.
The president continues to preach patience when it comes to his tariffs policy.
We think we're in very good shape. We think we're doing very well. Again, there'll be a transition cost, transition problems, but in the end, it's going to be a beautiful thing.
He said he's very happy with the way the country's running, even though stock prices have swung wildly this week and surveys show a drop in consumer confidence. Greg Clugston, the White House.
The president's big, beautiful bill, as he calls it, takes a major step forward. House Republicans voting to advance work on that budget legislation. House Speaker Mike Johnson says the goal, to cut taxes and excessive government spending.
I want to compliment our president, President Trump, who is always engaged with us and available and accessible. He didn't have to call a single member to wrangle anybody on this thing. He allowed me the space to do what I need to do, and we got the votes together, and we reaffirmed our commitments. It's real. We want to find real savings. We have an obligation to do that.
Along with tax cuts and spending reductions, the president would like to increase spending on defense, energy, and border security. Family of 5 from Spain and the pilots are dead after their New York City sightseeing helicopter plunged into the Hudson River yesterday afternoon, went into the water just off Jersey City, New Jersey. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures have turned higher. The Dow futures are up 180 points, NASDAQ futures ahead 112, and the S&P futures 28 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This world is spiraling out of control. Financial markets are extremely volatile. Global conflicts are escalating and inflation is everywhere. How do you protect yourself when everything's uncertain? The answer is gold. Specifically, the 2025 1-ounce Gold Eagle in flawless NGCMS70 condition from Global Coin. It's a lifeline in these chaotic times. A rock-solid asset that has outperformed for millennia. Call 888-800-1045 right now to lock in this stunning coin for dealer cost. Just $3,199. Free shipping. No sales tax. Secure this tangible asset you can hold today. The first 100 callers get a free MS70 2025 Silver Eagle. 2 U.S. minted legal tender coins to shield you from the storm. Global Coin stands by you with a 30-day return policy because your security matters. Go to globalcoindeal.com or call 888-800-1045 today. They're knowledgeable, professional, and trustworthy. No gimmicks, just incredible coins at incredible prices. 888-800-1045. Call before it's too late.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today, cooler with a high of 60. There is a chance for a few sprinkles in the morning. By late afternoon, the clouds will start to decrease. Will be mostly clear overnight as we drop to 41. Saturday, sunny skies with a high of 66. Partly cloudy Saturday night, we drop to 49. And for Sunday, sunny and breezy with southerly wind gusts to 30 miles per hour, but it's going to be warm with a high of 79. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Jewels on Hampton, paying some of the highest prices for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Call 314-752-5000 or visit jewelsonhampton.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Metro Shooting Supplies is a gun enthusiast ultimate destination. With over 400 rental guns, you can try before you buy. Serving Metro St. Louis for over 20 years, we offer the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms. Buy a new gun and get a free $200 range membership located at Phifer and St. Charles Rock Road. Metro Shooting Supplies, where shooting meets expertise. Visit buylearnshoot.com.
Tired of floors that don't stand up to real life? Hometown Floors has the solution. With 40 years of experience, they know floors. 100% made in the USA. Luxury vinyl, laminate carpet, pet-friendly, and built to last. Free in-home estimates, professional installation, and satisfaction guaranteed. Hometown Floors, making small business great again. Check us out at hometownfloorsonline.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Live and local.
Welcome home. And whoosh, sitting in traffic, stuck in a jam, and being entertained by Vic and thunder-stealing Ken.
This is News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Phifer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the Supreme Court. This is an interesting case. We'll get into a little more depth here in a little bit. Supreme Court tells the Trump administration to bring back, and I'm going to use the word immigrant this time because apparently he was here legally.
Oh, yeah,
that guy. So I'm going to actually use the word immigrant because normally I'll say illegal alien, but it appears that this person was in the country with a legal status.
Right.
Who is, but here's the thing is that the administration says he's an MS-13 gang member. And so he was deported. The Department of Justice says, yeah, we messed up and he should not have legally been deported.
Oh boy.
And the Supreme Court says, well, you got to bring him back.
Well, yes.
Trump administration says, but he's an MS-13 gang member and not a citizen.
Okay.
So,
yes.
yeah.
There's a little sticky wicket right there, right?
Right.
It's like, because our gang members who are here legally or are citizens, we'll say,
right.
They first, you do have to actually go through due process and prove that they're not just that they are a member of the gang, but that they've done something illegal.
Right.
And the threshold is different when you start getting into people who have a legal right to be here.
Yeah, so that's going to be my lead story here in the whole news part of this in just a little bit. Also, a little bit later on today, Illinois Democrats are really worked up about high school team mascot names again.
Oh, we're doing this?
Yeah, because we talked, what was it? Because a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, we talked about the Mighty Midgets.
Yeah.
Well, now they passed 2 bills to ban
2 of them
specific high school mascot team names in Illinois.
Wow, they're going right after them specifically.
They're going 2 of them this week alone.
Oh, jeez.
So we'll get into that in a little bit. And then lots of sports to check out this weekend in St. Louis. It is 6:07 on this Flashback Friday. By the way, the first song right before you got here was Whip It by Devo.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Classic MTV. Yep. Have you ever seen the video to that, Jerome?
I've been binging Devo a lot lately because I'm really sad nothing like that exists
I
anymore.
was gonna say,
exactly. They're so
it's
unique.
unique. I was about to go down that route. I was like, it's something you don't see today. Let's put
Yeah.
it that way.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and get going with the news dump here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, I mean, they got all the news. The morning news dump.
All right, let's start with this situation with this illegal. Well, no, not illegal. Excuse me. With this immigrant, because I try to be very, very straightforward when we're talking about illegal aliens. But in this case, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And so here's what we've got: the Supreme Court has ordered that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a man who was wrongly deported to El Salvador, be returned to the U.S. Now, I say wrongly deported. I'm talking about the legal process for this. The Trump administration says he was deported on an administrative error, but then says he's an MS-13 gang member. So basically, they're like,
we don't care though.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah.
You know, we got rid of a gang member, even though we did it outside the rules of the law.
Right.
So on the Ingram angle last night on Fox, Senator Eric Schmidt, obviously from here in Missouri, says he agrees with the Trump administration.
This guy is deportable. This guy is a gang member. He is an MS-13 member, and they can deport him.
Okay, so Garcia was deported in March 15th. So his legal status, he was granted that status in 2019. That was among those statuses that was supposed to, like, say you're not eligible for deportation.
Right.
Now, 2019. So, obviously that's, during the first Trump administration.
Yep.
But his lawyers are arguing that he's not a risk to the public. And so the Trump administration says, but we say he is a gang member.
I'm not sure that argument would
Right.
fly. The argument should be, well, he was here legally. So the threshold for proving that he needs to go to prison is different. And you can't actually just straight up deport him.
Right. So
necessarily.
So that's the thing where, remember, the role of the courts and role of the Supreme Court is not to decide whether something is a good or bad idea.
Right.
Just whether or not it was done within the bounds of the Constitution and the law.
Right.
And so a lot of people get mad at the Supreme Court for rulings, and sometimes we should be mad at them. But this one's a little more nuanced than that. So I'm really curious what you think. Send us some notes on social media or give me a call 314-912-1019. Okay, here's something I didn't know was a thing. Michigan Senator Elissa Slotkin, she's a Democrat, put a bill forward this week that would ban Chinese cars from entering the United States.
Just a straight up ban.
Yeah, just a complete ban. So she says those cars and their parts are a risk to national security. And so Senator Slotkin was on The Story with Martha McCallum, and she says the purpose is to keep information about us out of China's hands. Here's what she had to say.
3D mapping, LiDAR, geolocation of specific people, all that data, rafts of data is going back to Beijing for them to use as they see fit. That's what we're trying to ban, not just the vehicle itself, but the parts that control the data and send it back.
Okay, so specifically, the bill would give the Department of Commerce the ability to ban vehicles or components if they deemed it a security threat. And then she went on to say Chinese cars put American jobs at risk, which is wrong. That's a wrong reason to ban something.
That's a different argument.
That's a different argument. And the other thing I will say, and I know this is a minor point on this, if you're going to ban something, then ban it. Don't write a law to say we're going to outsource it to bureaucrats to let them decide what it is. If you're going to ban it, then ban it.
Right.
But are Chinese cars a thing? I mean, are there a lot of cars made in China?
Yeah. I mean, they have a fully functioning domestic production system.
I know we import a lot from Japan, but I didn't know Chinese cars were a thing.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they aren't over here yet now, but they do kind of dominate the Asian market. So you'll see Chinese cars in India and things like that. Yeah. Now I'm not sure you'll see Chinese cars in Australia, but that's for the Australians to decide. But I think there's something there. It's like during the Cold War, you wouldn't have caught a Russian vehicle,
or a German vehicle,
or German vehicle, or during World War II. Yeah, there's no German vehicles. But so I think there's something there. Doing it correctly, though, seems to be a challenge for our government folks.
Yeah, Chinese cars appear to be very flammable, so I'm not sure we would even want them to be here in the first place.
Yeah. So, and Goat Lady points out, which is obvious, that Slotkin represents Michigan. Obviously, that's a automaking state there as well.
Yeah.
So I saw that. I'm like, I mean, German cars and Korean cars and Japanese cars. I just didn't know that Chinese cars were that was a thing in the U.S.
Yeah, they're not. I don't know of any major importer of Chinese cars, and I've never seen one on the road anywhere ever.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they don't have designs on breaking into the market.
Okay. Yeah, then you get in the question like, okay, well, I mean, we got to be careful that not everything is a national security threat.
That's
if
true.
everything's a national security threat,
Then nothing is.
national security. All right, so no need to wait for Gabe's Not Today Satan segment next hour to give you the heebie-jeebies.
Oh boy,
we could do that right now.
Here we go.
So a bat that found its way into a Webster Groves home last week turns out tested positive for rabies.
Oh no.
Yeah,
that's the worst part about bats.
County officials say there were more reports of bats getting into homes this past year than in previous years, and they don't know why. They don't know why bats are like looking for shelter indoors.
We're having a resurgence of bats.
Yeah. So just for the record, the experts advise us to not try to capture the air puppies if there's one in your house.
Air puppies. They do kind of look like.
If you see them up close, actually, some of them are really cute.
Or sky rats.
Yeah, sky rats, exactly. They say close the door, confine it in the room, and then call animal control is what they recommend you do. I would say then go ahead and put some garlic in the hallway around the door just to make sure on that. Oh, yeah. Yep. All right. A few different things happening in sports here. Battlehawks face their toughest opponent of the season on Sunday. That is when the DC Defenders visit the Dome for a 2 p.m. game. Both teams 2-0. I actually watched the Defenders game last weekend. They've got a real defense. So this will be Manny Wilkins' first real test as a quarterback. So this is going to be probably a really good game. So that game's going to be on Channel 30, but there are still some tickets left. Head coach Anthony Becht is, basically just begging people, come on, please come to the game.
Oh yeah.
Because they had a really good turnout last week.
Yeah. Was it a little over 30? Was that right?
I think it was 28
or 28.
Like
okay. Is it close to 30?
Or that's what they said.
Yeah.
On there. Also, let's see here. Even though they don't play tonight, the Blues could fall back into second place in the wild card race, even though they don't play tonight. Minnesota, who is tied with the Blues right now, plays Calgary tonight. So the Blues are on the road tomorrow to take on the Kraken. And so the best we can honestly hope for is that the Flames and the Wild tie and only get 1 point each. Because Calgary is mathematically in striking distance of the wild card race.
Oh, man.
And the Wild and the Blues are tied for first place as of this moment. So if Calgary wins, then we stay tied for first place with Minnesota, but then Calgary gains 2 points on us. So best we can really probably hope for is a tie, although the Blues are in pretty good shape. Mathematically, they are likely to get one of the wild card spots, but it's not certain. They haven't locked it up.
Right, we haven't clinched it yet.
All right, the Cardinals begin a series with the Phillies tonight at Busch Stadium. First pitch is at 7:15. You can catch that game on FanDuel. I would go on to say, but there are tickets left at Busch Stadium too, but that goes without saying at this point.
Yeah.
There will always be tickets available at Busch Stadium, probably for the rest of the season.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I've had enough of this.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is sending out an SOS. We're expanding fast and need your help. We need a flooring warehouse expert pronto. We need a flooring scheduler just as fast. Join our growing team at Michael's Flooring Outlet with locations in St. Peter's, Darden Prairie, and Creve Coeur. Don't wait. Visit michaelsflooringoutlet.com and click on careers today. Michael's Flooring Outlet, where great floors begin with great people.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airwaves for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Get ready for the big St. Louis Gun Show coming to the STL Athletic Center in Fenton, April 11th, 12th, and 13th. This air-conditioned event features 500 tables packed with pistols, handguns, rifles, long guns, shotguns, ammo, and more. Join us Friday 4 to 8, Saturday 9 to 5, and Sunday 9 to 3. Admission is just $14 and is good for the entire weekend. Kids 12 and under get in free, and veterans and first responders receive a $2 discount. Mention Aaron sent you for $2 off. The big St. Louis Gun Show, April 11th, 12th, and 13th. More info at bkpromotions.us.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. The 80s.
Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where are the beat?
It's Flashback Friday.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, here we go again. Illinois leftist wanting to ban politically incorrect, at least from a left-wing perspective, names and to some degree traditions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Illinois wanting to ban is probably a good, you could fill in a number of things.
See, on the template I use to write up like the news stuff, I'll say Democratic lawmakers in Illinois now want to ban, and just have a big blank.
Yeah, exactly. So what is it this week?
We'll just fill it in. Yeah. And they're really going after high school mascot names. This is still a thing with some of these leftists.
Coming back with it.
Yeah. All right. 6:20 right now. The Torch the Tax event. Illinois Democrats would want to tax the torch, but we want to torch the tax.
Yeah.
So we've got some remaining free tickets left. Not a lot. We got a few. Get yours now. Go to newstalkstl.com if you want to meet Glenn Jacobs. You want to meet Kane. That's right. And if you want the man who would kick Tim Wall's butt
oh, gosh.
in about
6 ways a Sunday.
Oh, yeah. And so that's going to happen this coming Wednesday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm working with Americans for Prosperity to, putting this thing together. And the one thing we made up our mind is, yes, we're going to talk about policy. Yes, we're going to talk about getting rid of the income tax in Missouri. But the bottom line is this has to be fun. And this is going to be fun. You're going to network with like-minded people. Glenn Jacobs is going to tell stories. He's going to answer questions. We do have a surprise guest who is a huge name in the conservative movement right now. This is going to be exciting. And so I hope that you are there at the Funny Bone in St. Charles, because I know there's a couple Funny Bones, not the one in Westport, the one in St. Charles, but you have to have a ticket reserved. You've got to be on that reservation list to get in. I am telling you, you're not going to get in if you're not on the list. All right. So Illinois lawmakers last night, passed a bill. So this is halfway to Governor Pritzker's desk that would make it illegal for schools to have team names and mascots that are Native American in nature.
Right. Of course. At all.
Right. At all. Earlier this week, back on Tuesday, and we talked about this bill a couple weeks ago when they were pushing this through, they passed a bill to ban any team names or mascots with references to anybody would have any sort of ailment or disability. And this targets right here in the Metro East area, the Mighty Midgets. And so there's a state rep up in the Chicago area who's a Democrat who's like, this is, and I'm going to use the pun here. This is the warpath he's on.
I see what you did.
Yeah. To ban these. So for instance,
come on, man.
About a month ago, one of my ball teams rented Muscuta's high school's baseball field, or their practice field to have our own practice. And they're the Muscuta Indians. And they're quoted in this story, which I think it was Channel 5 that did the story that I printed on this. It would be illegal, and if this law passes, they would have until 2028 to come up with a new team name and mascot, and any existing school or team would be required by law to change their name.
Wow.
So the people that for the past few years have been fighting for DEI are now trying to get rid of diversity and inclusion in sports. I mean, how does that make sense?
Well,
it's wild.
And here's the thing: is like Muscuda in particular, which is they actually have relationships with the Native American community,
right?
And they have the support of some Native American organizations who say, "No, we like the way you're doing this. Keep doing this." Muscuda, the whole town is named after
a
the tribe.
Yeah, I thought so. Yes, that's typically how it goes. And what's funny is now we've got these basically uppity white liberals who have to be offended on their behalf.
Yeah,
and they're the ones who are going to go fight these things.
Right, exactly.
And in doing so, they actually erase the history. And they for some reason they don't see that that's what they're actually doing. My high school, the Ossining High School Indians, we were named after the Sink Indians of the area because originally the name of the town was Sing Sing.
Oh, okay.
But since we were associated with the prison down the street, we was like, maybe we should change the name a little bit. I guess they decided that somewhere in like the late 1800s.
Okay.
Anyway, but the connection to the native tribe that used to live there is gone. Like I think they're the Riverhawks now or something like that. Yeah. So if you're going to find out anything about the actual Indians who lived in the Native Americans who lived in that area originally, you're going to have to go searching for it.
Right. Yeah. Now, what was your high school team name, Jerome?
We were, for a while we had one combined team, the Steelmen, but then it switched off between the Steelmen and the Tigers.
Okay.
But Northern Illinois, the Fighting Illini, we had, I think it was Chief Iroquois or Chief Illini.
Chief Illiniwick.
Illiniwick, yeah. And, we loved him, and we had our own.
Oh yeah, do the
everything.
Chop.
And then all of a sudden, the leftists got all offended and outraged, but people in the community loved him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, my team name in high school, like I said, it was the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
So we were never, but here's the thing: is
it's offensive to feline Americans.
To the furries.
The furries were in a guy in a Tony the Tiger outfit just protested.
That's right. How dare you?
How dare you?
My culture is not your costume. Your costume is your costume.
Except for this costume.
Okay. But here's the thing. So this week you've got schools being targeted. For instance, who is it? Is it Freeburg that had the midgets? I think it was
something like that.
But the Mighty Midgets.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy Maurice West, the state rep up in the Chicago area, he decides that is unacceptable. Has nothing to do with his district. It's like 400 miles from his district. But he's going to write a law that targets that, saying you cannot use any mascots that reference any sort of disability or medical term, which means that they're targeting the one thing.
Yes.
So what's next? I mean, are you not allowed to target ethnicities, or anything like that? I mean, is Teutopolis, because they're a Dutch type community, are they not going to be allowed to be the wooden shoes anymore because that references a Dutch tradition?
Right.
I mean, so what's next? Because it shows you that to people who are on the hard left, there's nothing government should not control.
Right.
And on top of that, I mean, when it comes to like midget actors, for example, they've gone on record saying that this fake woke ideology stuff is actually costing them roles because it's offensive to have seven dwarves and Snow White now, so they can't get work doing those roles, or Munchkins.
Yep.
Now, that being said, if there was a team called the Cincinnati Caucasians and it was just a plain white guy, I think that would be awesome. I would love that.
I was gonna say,
why are the Irish not upset about Notre Dame? The fighting Irish, right? Because it's fun.
Hey, all the Viking stereotypes are offending my wife's people.
Yeah, my ancestors.
Exactly.
My daughter's my daughter's college team that she played volleyball for in college. They are the Swedes because
specifically Swedish.
Specifically, the town that the college is in was founded by Swedish missionaries, so they are the Swedes. But yeah, I saw there was somebody who put up a picture, and it said basically was trying to, when this was a controversy years ago, and it was Caucasians. And it had just some 1950s guy in a tie, It said, how would you feel if this? And then all the comments were like, Where do I buy that?
I think they sell that shirt now. Actually, I might have to go out and get one.
Yeah, and the funny part is that it wasn't just like conservative white people. There were like people of all different races. Like, I want one of those.
That's kind of awesome.
And I've got to have one where the collar is red, so you got a red neck.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
that shirt has a 758 credit score.
That's right. I bet the St. Louis stereotypes. I'd buy that.
That would be that would be hysterical. And that's the thing is one, there's the question over should a high school be allowed to name its mascot team, and some of these go back over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is part of their identity, it's part of their community. Do some people get stupid with the mascot? Sure.
Oh, yeah,
but they tend to be called out over time on that.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the other part is, do we really need government micromanaging high school logos and imagery and branding? I mean, is this really what we want government doing to say, we will tell you how you're allowed to refer to your own ball teams and this is the, some people would say harmless, but I would say, but this shows you that there is nothing off limits to the hard left that they won't want to control, even something as minute and something as inconsequential as a high school mascot or team name. And I say inconsequential, they mean a lot to those communities, but they don't mean squat to the state government. So why are you making this a priority, dude?
Exactly.
It's crazy. I wish they would find something else to worry about, the state of their local economy. The fact that they're experiencing, we just talked about it the other day, much higher impacts on energy prices over there. Right? It's like, why don't you guys figure that out?
Right.
Why don't you figure out why you're having a net loss of people out of your state year after year? Yeah. No. I'm sure the name of that high school is so bothersome that it's causing all the problems in Illinois.
Right. And boy, they have some nice facility. Mascoutah is not a big town. I don't think I'd ever been there before. I mean, I've lived in the area for quite a while, but I hadn't been to Mascoutah. And I was really impressed with their facilities for such a small community.
Ready Right says someone should name their mascot the Trumpers. That would sure cause a national crisis.
The Magites. MAGA army.
The mighty MAGA.
Mighty MAGA.
And then instead of the chops, it's just going to be that little dance thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, I mean, can there be team names that are offensive?
Sure,
that can happen. Even when that happens, do we need state laws?
Right.
That's the other part.
That's the issue. I mean, you'd think that if it was really, really, really offensive, the local community would deal with it.
And that's historically what we've seen.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that there are some Native American organizations that are saying, no, we actually like this if you're respectful.
Yes.
And there are other Native American organizations, to be fair, that don't want any of them as well.
Sure.
But you got a whole community that says we've been doing this, named it after the tribe that lived here.
Right. And the tribe that lives here likes it.
Yeah.
Leave us alone.
Oh, geez. But no. Leftists can't do that.
Yeah.
All right. Just ahead here, our good buddy, Paul Curtman. I want to get his thoughts on, well, a lot of stuff from what's happening with your portfolio to this guy who the Supreme Court says you got to bring him back. I want to get his thoughts on that. Just ahead here on 1019-94.1 News Talk ST.
Mommy, what are those Democrats up to now?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today, cooler with a high of 60. There is a chance for a few sprinkles in the morning. By late afternoon, the clouds will start to decrease. We'll be mostly clear overnight as we drop to 41. Saturday, sunny skies with a high of 66. Partly cloudy Saturday night, we drop to 49. And for Sunday, sunny and breezy with southerly wind gusts to 30 miles per hour, but it's going to be warm with a high of 79. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peters did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
Hey everybody, this is Elizabeth Kaiser. Please join me on my new show, Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
On News Talk STL.
You know the world today. People seem to be rooted more firmly in diverse ideologies more than ever.
SR1 Sundays.
Why is that? You know, the shortest distance between 2 points of view is a straight line. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Sunday nights at 8.
Right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
A recent headline on redstate.com intrigued me. It's Chickeny China, the Chinese chicken, like in the Bare Naked Lady song. Susie Moore wrote that. We'll talk to her Friday at 10:05 about it.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. The 80s. Excellent. Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
There we go. Now we got some real 80s rock going on Flashback Friday. Bump music right there. Thank you to whoever requested this one. All right, you're getting immersed in 80s culture, Jerome. Last week it was more poppy. This week maybe a little more rocky.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can already feel my Viking tail turning into a mullet now.
There you go.
Nice.
You know what's funny is last year on one of my old man baseball teams, one of the guys decided to have some fun. He bought a new, like Bluetooth speaker, decided to get walk-up music for all of us.
Yes.
One of the guys on my team is a retired police officer. And so this was the song he picked, Breaking the Law.
Breaking the law, breaking the law. Yeah, yes.
Because it's funny because he's a real metalhead. I mean, he and I go to the rock concerts together. So we play that. It was pretty awesome there.
It was either going to be that or Bad Boys.
That's right. All right, watching your portfolio these days kind of maybe gives you an idea of like what a bull rider feels like at the rodeo for those 8 seconds. I mean, up, down, up, down, up, down. Side, all right, where do we go from here, basically? Don't forget, News Talk STL, #1 for live and local conservative talk all weekend. We've got a new show debuting on Sunday. That is St. Louis County Insider with Marc Harder. That debuts Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock. So be sure to check that out. It is 6:36 right now, joined by Paul Curtman, former Missouri State Representative, and of course, our official Florida correspondent as well. Let me start with that with the markets, everything, Paul, since you've got your both feet in the financial world here. Politics aside, you can debate, the political aspect of this. We've all got investments. We've all got savings in the market. And it's pretty easy to feel a lot of whiplash right now, whether you agree or disagree with the politics of it. I'm going to set that aside for just a moment. You're somebody who says, wait a minute, this is my financial future that's being, tossed around like this, like a rag doll here. What are we to make of what's happening right now? And is it possible for some people to take a deep breath and go, okay, hold on, even if it's bad right now, what do I do to try to navigate this particular era right now? Because I got to tell you, it's I don't like the way I stopped looking. You know.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. That's a good question. It's a lot of questions that people are asking right now. They're trying to figure out whether or not they should be on this teeter-totter, and on one side, should they be just concerned about capital preservation, just keeping all their money safe? Or should they be saying, hey, there's a lot of volatility out there right now. Should I be looking for opportunity? And the answer is probably both. And so it's just a matter of making sure that if you have a 401k and you're nearing retirement especially, or if you're in retirement right now, you just want to make sure that you have all your assets allocated in a way that you do take advantage of some growth and you do have some ballast in your portfolio to make sure that it stays a little bit more steady inside this volatility. And another thing to remember is markets like this, corrections, which is when the market's down 10%, that happens usually on average about once every 1 or 2 years. So it's pretty common. Bear markets, where the market's down over 20%, happens a little less frequently, but it still happens pretty routinely. So anybody who's got money in a portfolio and they've been saving for any amount of time, they're middle-aged, nearing retirement, whether they know it or not, their portfolio has already weathered these storms before, gone through these types of environments. The good news, though, guys, is this seems to have a lot more to do with the headlines that stem from press releases or from press conferences where Donald Trump is talking about tariffs. It has a lot more to do with that than any type of wide-scale financial collapse or bank collapse or anything like that. So right now, people are paying more attention to the headlines, and that's probably having a little bit more effect on the market than, say, issues that we saw in 2008.
Morning, Paul. Gabe here. And so, yeah, I was going to ask, we're kind of looking with that, last answer on kind of like the granular of individuals. Okay, stay calm, be calm, waiting it out. Now, what's your opinion on kind of the larger question of the administration's policies going forward? The negotiations that seem to be on again and off again with our various trading partners. What do you make of the current political economic situation as it stands?
Super interesting. I mean, in a nutshell, this is probably going to be something that I believe political scientists and economists are going to be, or at least should be, having studied for like the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Because Donald Trump, so I saw an interview. Thomas Sowell does very few interviews these days. He's very old now, but he did an interview last week and he was talking about his opposition to tariffs in general. But then he said, if Donald Trump is using this as a negotiation tactic, he essentially said that's fine because that's just part of politics and you can expect that. And I tend to think that that's probably what's happening. I think that Donald Trump is probably looking more for tariff reform across the board than he is just a slap widespread tariffs and then no negotiation whatsoever. I mean, we've already seen him move back and forth on this. So I think that the end game is still yet to be seen how this is going to pan out. We just don't really know yet. All we can really do is kind of guess because we're watching what he's doing from one day to the next, 1 week to the next, as it relates to this back and forth with these other countries, or especially with China.
All right, we're visiting with Paul Curtman here. All right, let me bring up what we were just talking about a few minutes ago here. The Supreme Court kind of gave Trump mixed decisions when it comes to deportations of immigrants. On one, I'm using the word immigrant here because on one hand it was illegal aliens specifically, and on the other hand it was an immigrant here. They pulled the jurisdiction from that DC activist judge, put that case in Texas, and says, okay, you can deport the illegal aliens, but they have to have a court hearing before you can do it. But you can do it. Okay, that's fine. But in another ruling, they say the administration must actually return a guy from El Salvador that the administration deported. Even the DOJ says, yeah, we messed up on this one. This was an administrative error, some kind of paperwork error, but we deported him and we shouldn't have deported him. But you know what? He's an MS-13 gang member and he's not a citizen, so we don't want to bring him back. Supreme Court says, yeah, you got to bring him back even if you think he's a gang member. What's your take on this? Because you're looking at this guy apparently had legal status that was granted under the first Trump administration. And at the same time, the Department of Justice says, but he's not a citizen and he's an MS-13 gang member. So do we have a due process issue, or is this something that is limiting the administration, or did the administration just foul this one up?
This is kind of complex. So
yeah.
Part of me says, hey, these due process laws, the Constitution, all this is for people who are citizens. And so if you're a citizen, you absolutely have a right to due process. If you're here legally, but you're not a citizen, then maybe not in the case of somebody who is an immigrant and also an MS-13 gang member. However, there are people that are here legally, and when they come here legally through the correct ports of entry, they should have, I believe that people who are here legally should have every expectation that our laws that protect American citizens are also going to protect them, even if it's just a process or administrative issue like due process. And that's going to be really important. And I think Donald Trump even recognizes that, because he's talking right now about bringing in investment from overseas. Well, you can't bring investment from overseas, but only if they're going to be citizens. Like, you need to bring in investment. You need to bring in jobs, manufacturing, business executives. You want to bring those types of things over. And that's going to require a lot of people working in the U.S. On maybe an upper level. You know, I'm not talking about the blue collar workers or the workers from our local community, but it's going to require a lot of people that are foreigners coming here to work out labor or work or manufacturing or company issues. And so whenever they come over, I think it's fully reasonable that they have an expectation of protection under our laws. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I think that it's a complex issue, but yeah, if you're here legally and you came through the correct ports of entry, then you should have those expectations of protections of our laws.
Yeah, I mean, if you show the respect for our laws and abide by our laws, then I agree. You know, I mean, for instance, my ex-wife is a legal immigrant into the country. Now, I would love to see her deported.
Yeah, absolutely.
But she has
real quick, Mike. To that point, what you're getting at right now is, if you violate our laws, if you're here legally, and then you violate the trust that we have given you to come here on a legal status, then all that could easily go away. But it might take a due process, just to verify.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. All right, Paul. So, what should we be looking for? Last minute or two that we've got here. What should we be looking for in the next week or two? Because you just can't separate out the politics from the economic side of it, and the market side of it. And I think that's what's, creating so much of that volatility and hurting so many people right now, is that this is a politically induced volatility that we're seeing right now. So what should we be looking for, whether it's financial, economic, or just overall political right now?
Well, just like the COVID crash of 2020, you can expect incredible volatility. Back in 2020, the markets went down 32%, and then by the end of the year, they were hitting all-time highs. So that was all induced market volatility, government-induced market volatility. We're getting the same thing with these tariffs. People should expect more of it. One of the things I'd be looking for with these tariffs is I'd be looking for the Trump administration to try to start aligning these other countries whose tariffs he has now paused, and using them to put pressure on China. China has already said that they're not going to retaliate anymore. So right now we have these two reciprocal 125% tariffs. Seems to be a draw. But Donald Trump hasn't said anything like that. I think that people should be looking for an effort to form a coalition, an economic coalition, because it's not just the U.S. that has China as a major trade partner. These other 75 countries, all these other countries, predominantly their major trade partner is also China. So I would be looking for Donald Trump to start forming a coalition. I don't know if it's going to happen or if it's already happened behind closed doors, but that's just what I would expect.
All right, Paul, we'll talk to you again probably a couple weeks or so. Appreciate you being back on.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, 314-912-1019. Going to bring you up to what's happening around the news world here, including Republicans moving forward with that spending bill, that one big, beautiful bill. We'll give you the update on that just ahead here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Wasting out of work and down. All inside, it's so frustrating as I'm driving town to town. Feels though nobody cares if I let one die. So I might as well begin to put some action in my life. Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game. It's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Game tickets? Check.
A round of cold beers? Check.
Ballpark hot dogs? Check.
Baseball is back, and nothing beats a night out with the guys.
Or ladies.
At a Cardinals game.
From thrilling games and mouthwatering eats to the iconic ballpark energy, Busch Stadium is the ultimate spot for you and your crew to dive into America's favorite pastime.
Make your next night out the best one yet. Join us at Busch Stadium, where every hour is happy.
For tickets, visit Cardinals.com.
St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serving St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. The 80s.
Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Fire the beat.
It's Flashback Friday.
Dodger City, night is a wire. Steaming the subway, up is a fire.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. By the way, Duran here, circa 1986 or so, Gabe, something like that, 85. 80s. Every high school girl was obsessed with Duran.
Yes.
And all us guys in junior high and high school had no chance whatsoever.
We were like, we were the John Travolta meme.
Yeah, we're like, what? Come on.
Yeah.
Are we Duran? No.
No. Nobody is.
Just to tell you how big these guys were back in the day.
I mean, it was one of our female watchers that requested the song. Too.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
There it is.
We remember.
We still can't keep up with Simon. Great Flashback Fridays pick there. All right, let's follow up on this. The Supreme Court tells the Trump administration to bring back an immigrant who's accused of being a gang member. At least that's one spin on the story here. We'll let you decide for yourself. Also at 7:05, Shannon Adcock from Awake, Illinois. If you have not been following this bill in Illinois, that is a crackdown on homeschooling. It is one of the most tyrannical, authoritarian things I've seen in a long, long time. Illinois Democrats run the state, and they are absolutely out of control. And they are, frankly, trying to keep up with the tyranny in California and in Colorado. Did you hear about this bill that was passed in Colorado just this week?
Oh, no.
Okay, so it's an LGBT protection bill.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing: is when you dig into it, and several writers have dug into it, it makes it illegal. Now, it looks like the only application is if like there's a child custody case, but it makes it illegal to not obey the children's demands for pronouns and gender identity and so-called dead naming.
Right.
So if your child
is going through something,
says, I don't want to be a boy anymore, I want to be a girl, you will call me Susie. I am she, her, because that's what they're told to do in the public schools.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a custody issue here, or there's some kind of dispute there. And the courts, by this law, will be told to weigh that in and take that child away from the parent who will not affirm the delusion.
And that's very much in line with what California did.
Yes.
And now California went even so far as to say that they will take a kid away, from both parents essentially, and make the kid a ward of the state if you don't affirm.
Well, if you can traffic a child with some sort of gender dysphoria, literally, if you can traffic a child
from
across their state lines, and they basically claim LGBT asylum from their parents, the state will take custody. And that law was passed last year. I mean, it's to say in Illinois, with this crackdown on homeschooling, we're now seeing all the different ways that this is just a tyrannical power grab. And we'll talk to Shannon about that at 7:05. Also here, lots of sports in town this weekend. All right, 6:53. Let's go ahead and get as much news as we can here. Let's do the news dump.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
Okay, the Supreme Court has ordered Kilmar Abrego Garcia. That is a man that the Department of Justice admits was wrongly deported to El Salvador, be returned to the U.S. The Trump administration says he was deported on an administrative error, but says, you know what? The guy's an MS-13 gang member. That's what they're accusing him of. On the Ingram angle, Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt says he agrees with the Trump administration.
This guy is deportable. This guy is a gang member. He is an MS-13 member, and they can deport him.
Okay, so Garcia was on March 15th in 2019. He was granted an immigration status that was supposed to prevent deportation. His lawyers argue, obviously, the government had no right to deport him, which the Department of Justice says, yep, that was an error on our part. By the way, the lawyer who admitted that has now been suspended by Pam Bondi.
Right, yeah.
Which I question the judgment and ethics of that in particular.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one thing to suspend somebody for being malicious in it, but I mean, if you can't make a mistake,
and admit that it was a mistake.
And admit that, it's like that's trouble.
But there's still an ick factor to use to really use a word that doesn't do it justice. It's got that sort of factor of saying, okay, what if the government's right and he is a top lieutenant in the MS-13 gang?
Right.
Okay, but he hasn't been convicted of anything.
Right, yeah.
So the due process does matter, but I do think, and it's like Paul Curtman was saying, there's a lot of nuance here, because for those in the country illegally, illegal aliens, we should be able to, as soon as they confirm you're in the country illegally,
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you're saying.
You're gone.
Yeah.
And in this case right here, though, he was already granted legal status.
Right.
And this was done under the first Trump administration.
Right.
This wasn't one of the Biden, we're going to we're just going to try to find you as you run through the border and go, oh, hey, you're legal now. That no, those don't count. All right. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. All right. House Republicans in D.C. speaking to reporters after the chamber passed the Senate's budget framework. This happened yesterday. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he's proud about the result of the vote, but says they've got more work to do to get all of the Republican and Trump priorities passed. Here's the speaker discussing the next steps.
We have our 11 committees that will get instructions for reconciliation in the House. They are ready to go. We've been working on this for many months, almost a year now, really, when we first started the effort. And so we have the work product already prepared. We have bills drafted. Most of them have been scored already. And now we go through the process of marking it up and finding the equilibrium points with everybody.
Okay, so Republicans got that passed 216 to 214.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Razor thin margin.
Right.
Yeah. My
exactly.
goodness.
All right. The post office wants to raise the price of a first class stamp.
Here we go.
Yep. The proposal is to go from the current 73 cents to 78 cents this summer.
Yeah, they're trying to get the solvency, I guess.
Yep,
but,
that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but I'm not sure they're going to make it.
Now, the Postal Regulatory Commission is going to decide whether to allow that or not allow it. Overall, the request would increase the price of most mail services by about 7.5%. Okay, for those who are younger in the room, Jerome, a stamp is this sticky thing that we would put on this envelope, which you would actually mail stuff to people in a piece of paper form.
An envelope is
another piece
kind
of paper.
another piece of paper that you put the piece of paper in order to transport it to. Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like the icon on the computer, right?
Yeah, exactly. It looks like
that was based on a real thing.
That's a real
Just
thing.
to let you know here.
we know Jerome knows what it is.
That's right.
That's the joke.
I say, you remember you used to get so excited when a letter showed up?
Oh gosh, yeah. Addressed to you.
Personal letter. They
Yeah.
would teach you in school how to write and address a letter.
And it was exciting.
It was kind of cool. I miss those.
Clint Black in concert. Clint Black, an incredible night featuring some of his greatest hits. Saturday, April 12th, 7 p.m., the Family Arena. Clint Black in concert. Special guests Ruby Lee and Emily Ann Roberts. On sale now at the Carroll House Furniture box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Don't miss Clint Black.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, I don't know about you, but I love learning about national and international issues here on News Talk STL. But do you know what's going on in your neck of the woods, your city, your county, and its politics? If you live in Jefferson County and want to know more about what's happening locally, join Speaker Tim Jones and me, Councilman Billy Crow, as we dive into all things Jefferson County on Sundays at high noon on Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
On News Talk STL.
Hey, folks, the Clayton Sleep Institute and my friend Dr. Ojal back supporting free common sense conservative radio. ClaytonSleep.com, treating the full range of adult and pediatric sleep disorders from sleep apnea to insomnia, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement, and narcolepsy. What an awesome place. New comfy setting for the sleep lab. ClaytonSleep.com, 314-645-5855. Better sleep, better life.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. China is seeing red over higher U.S. tariffs on its goods. So Beijing will hike tariffs on American imports from 84 to 125%. Effective tomorrow.
The US and China have escalated their trade war by raising tariffs, even as President Donald Trump hit a pause on tariffs for other countries. A China Commerce Ministry spokesman says, announcing the countermeasure, the US alternately raising abnormally high tariffs on China has become a numbers game, which has no practical economic significance and will become a joke in the history of the world economy.
Correspondent Charles De La Desma. The Supreme Court is ordering the Trump administration to facilitate the release of an illegal alien who had lived in Maryland before being mistakenly deported to a Salvadoran prison. Investigators now working to determine the cause of yesterday's crash of a New York City sightseeing helicopter into the Hudson River off Jersey City. A family of 5 from Spain and the pilot were killed.
Witness Danny Horbiak.
I actually heard it before anything else, but it sounded like several gunshots in a row almost in the air. So I turned and I looked out my window and I saw a helicopter and it looked like pieces were falling off.
NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch says rescuers rushed to the scene.
Immediate life-saving measures were undertaken on the vessels at the scene, as well as the adjoining pier.
Justin Green, an aviation lawyer who was a Marine helicopter pilot, says video of the crash suggests a catastrophic mechanical failure. Julie Walker, New York.
Funerals and burials now underway for victims of the nightclub roof collapse in the Dominican Republic. The death toll, 221, 189 people injured. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are now down 45 points. NASDAQ futures 10 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The world is spiraling out of control. Financial markets are extremely volatile. Global conflicts are escalating and inflation is everywhere. How do you protect yourself when everything's uncertain? The answer is gold. Specifically, the 2025 1-ounce Gold Eagle in flawless NGC MS70 condition from Global Coin. It's a lifeline in these chaotic times. A rock-solid asset that has outperformed for millennia. Call 888-800-1045 right now to lock in this stunning coin for dealer cost. Just $3,199. Free shipping. No sales tax. Secure this tangible asset you can hold today. The first 100 callers get a free MS70 2025 Silver Eagle, 2 U.S. minted legal tender coins to shield you from the storm. Global Coin stands by you with a 30-day return policy because your security matters. Go to globalcoindeal.com or call 888-800-1045 today. They're knowledgeable, professional, and trustworthy. No gimmicks, just incredible coins at incredible prices. 888-800-1045. Call before it's too late.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today, cooler with a high of 60. There is a chance for a few sprinkles in the morning. By late afternoon, the clouds will start to decrease. Will be mostly clear overnight as we drop to 41. Saturday, sunny skies with a high of 66. Partly cloudy Saturday night, we drop to 49. And for Sunday, sunny and breezy with southerly wind gusts to 30 miles per hour, but it's going to be warm with a high of 79. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Turning 65 soon? Medicare decisions don't have to be overwhelming. Hi, I'm Debbie Westhoff with Westhoff Agency. We have helped hundreds of people just like you navigate Medicare options. Let me, Debbie Westhoff, be your personal Medicare guide, walking you through each choice to find the coverage that truly fits. Don't leave your healthcare decisions to chance. Call me at 636-500-1843 or visit us at westoffagency.com. Westhoff Agency is your trusted Medicare partner. That's westoffagency.com.
Join the 10th annual Jeff Hansen Memorial Foundation Sporting Clay event, a day of remembrance and support for our veterans. Saturday, May 17th at Black Hawk Valley Hunting Preserve in Old Monroe. Compete individually or as a team. Breakfast, lunch, and shells included. By participating, you're not just shooting clay, you're supporting Freedom 13 and our veterans. Reserve your spot by May 9th. Learn more and register today at jeffhansenmemorialfoundation.com.
Mike Ferguson,
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Phifer,
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
You know, it's interesting how this anti-homeschooling bill is making national news, even to some degree international news, that's happening in Illinois. Because what we're finding is as thousands and thousands of people throughout the state of Illinois are objecting to it, showing up at the state capitol, filling out the witness forms in opposition to it, what you're seeing is a clear, obvious, complete disregard for what the public wants. Because the left, the Democrats, know they have nothing to worry about right now because of the way the districts are drawn. They can basically drop the hammer on their ideological opponents. And let's not make any mistake about this. This is a power grab and a control grab where right now the government is competing for how children are going to be reared in the state of Illinois. They are competing with the parents. They are competing with the family in order to be in control there.
Well, and governments have been in control of the future, basically, through our children for decades. So giving up that power is that's going to be a really, really big fight, right? There's a lot to that.
Yep. All right. We're going to be connecting with Shannon Adcock from Awake, Illinois here in just a moment. By the way, our great lineup all weekend long includes Randy Tobler every Saturday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. It is live right here. And yes, all 3 hours for Randy Tobler.
The old Tobler show.
That's right. All right. We've got Shannon Adcock now from Awake, Illinois. We do have her, right?
There's something going on with
There's
the
something
phones.
going on with the phones here.
We got
Yep.
gremlins going on.
Oh man,
the
I tell
friggin'
you.
gremlins always get us. They particularly go after Fridays because Fridays
I
are
know,
fun.
because we have a lot of fun there. All right, we got
Exactly.
Shannon here. All right, hey Shannon, great to chat with you again. Sorry about the phone connection issue right there. One of the things I was just saying as we're kind of introducing the segment is you were on and you've given us a couple of updates here, and obviously there's a lot of attention this right. We talked about thousands, tens of thousands of people objecting to this. The lawmakers, the Democrats, just clearly have made it clear they don't care. They want to rush this through. But the deeper we dig into this anti-homeschooling bill, the more insidious it actually seems. This isn't just about we're going to register you. This isn't just about, okay, well, we're going to hold you to the same standards as the public schools, like they have high standards right now. Yeah, but this is a real power grab. I mean, the more I read into this, Shannon, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because I do not want to unfairly set up the conversation. It seems like what we have right now is the hard fringe left saying this is how we're going to compete with parents for how children are going to be reared and what they're thinking. And then we're finding out there are other things that if they basically declare your living room to be a school, that they're going to be claiming a lot of other ways to regulate the home and the family. So this is beyond education policy. We're really talking about tyranny here.
Oh, yeah. No, you can't be nice anymore. There is no playing nice with people that want to take your children. So they're not trying to compete with parents. They're trying to replace them.
Oh, my gosh. Shannon, Gabe Phifer here. What can be done other than what has been done, I guess, to fight this?
What has been done to fight this bill, or you mean just this radical agenda?
What can be done that hasn't already been tried? Because apparently, they don't care that there are thousands of parents who don't like this stuff, that people are gathered in opposition to it. They don't seem to care, and they keep pushing the issue. Is there some way to stem the tide?
Will rule the day. They're hoping that people will just get comfortable again and not fight them and get them reelected. The groundswell of grassroots activism and parental rights, like Awake Illinois, this is very formidable. The media hits on this, very formidable. So all these people care about is getting reelected and holding power, but that power is starting to crack. You're seeing that there's a house of cards here that could be collapsing as more and more people wake up and fight this. And ideally, you will take more initiative at the ballot box to get people like Katie Stewart and the East St. Louis district and the legislature out of office. So as people figure out the agenda of these politicians, policy is affecting your family. You can no longer be apathetic. So at Awake Illinois, we're not woke, but we're paying attention. And so as you cover this topic, as other media outlets cover these topics, people have to take this into 2026, into the midterms. People don't want to get political or it makes them uncomfortable. Get over it. It's going to be real uncomfortable when they knock on your door and take your children.
Yeah, Shannon. Okay, so I know there's somebody listening who says, well, wait a minute. How did you get from they just want you to register and give them paperwork to they want to take your children? Make that connection, because the more I'm reading into this, the more I'm saying, wait a minute, this is way beyond standardized testing or curriculum or anything like that. Tell me about that threat to the family that people aren't picking up on, because the media narrative is, well, they just want you to register and make sure your kids are actually getting an education. But it is so far beyond that. How do we get from what they say the narrative is to what you're talking about and replacing families and parents?
Right. So this is a partisan bill. This is a Democrat Party-driven bill. This is a party that goes to parades and celebrates ending life in the womb. There is a correlation here to their wicked death cult ideology. Now that your children are out of the womb, if they've made it past utero and you haven't aborted it and they can't celebrate that, they're coming for your children in your home. They have no limiting principles. This is not hyperbole. Now, the issue, if you're more analytical, you can say, well, that's a little much for me. Okay. The public school enrollment has been on a continuous decline for years, and it got worse after 2020 when parents saw behind the education curtain. They saw the leftist ideology at play. They saw a lot of this transhumanism concepts coming into radical sexual education that's now been passed into the state legislature, K through 12. They've woken up to this, right? So they have pulled their children into private schools, which are being incorporated in this House Bill 2827, as well as homeschool. So each child, even if you don't want to lean into the fact that they're trying to take these children via their leftist ideology, each child with a pulse represents money to the state. Those are walking dollar signs. So any child that is not under state surveillance in the public government schools, that is money lost. Money gets appropriated. It's evidence-based funding. So every child that is lost from the public school is money that the state is losing. Illinois is broke. They need every student as many students as possible in government, because that's how they get funding. We have a pension crisis. The taxes are unsustainable. So every one of your children is a walking dollar sign. If you're not willing to at least acquiesce that the left is hunting your children, at least from a fiscal standpoint, understand each child is a walking dollar sign to the state.
Yeah, that is an excellent point, because this is actually a massive part of Illinois' financial problems. And so what's happening is, if there's any even limited competition in the status of private schools, and when I lived in Illinois, I went to a private school in Decatur. I went to a Christian school in Decatur from K through 12. And then I went to public school after that for high school. But trying to lasso those kids back in is one thing with the money. And at the same time, it really is about the indoctrination as well, because Illinois has some of the most radical required elements of teaching in the schools regarding, woke ideology as well. And so when you say replace the parents, I think that is better than what I said when I said compete with them. And so you've got both of those in one thing. And I saw a report from one of the Chicago stations where I think it was a Chicago station, where they were asked to say, wait a minute, if you're incorporating homeschools and you're going to say that they are established schools and they're going to be treated like that, does that mean they're suddenly gun-free zones and parents aren't allowed to have their own guns anymore? And so they didn't want to talk about that. But this is so much bigger than just that curriculum. Like I said, I wish people understood the tentacles of this proposal, and now they're under the heat, and they are doubling down, basically saying this is a hill to die on for the left, which should make it very clear how hard we've got to fight this thing.
Right. And, there are cracks in this. The groundswell of grassroots pushback has been formidable. They're nervous in Springfield right now. Tara Costa Howard is a nervous wreck. She's been doing media. She's fidgety. She's shifty. She's nervous, but they're digging their heels in. They can't reverse course, right? So they're embarrassed. They're thinking about the midterms, which in political timing will be here very, very soon. March of 2026 in political clock, that's pretty soon. So we have giant receipts, more than 135,000 witness slips filed opposing House Bill 2827. Even secular left-leaning homeschool families are waking up to the fact that their party is railroading them. They're having to really eat some humble pie and recognize that this is not the party of classic liberalism. This is the party of leftism, and they are looking to take your children. Awake Illinois posted on X last night this photo of Amish men in 1955. They're reporting to jail. They're walking into the prison because they refuse to send their children to public schools, and it notes that they're heroes. So Illinois needs to become familiar with the Supreme Court case Wisconsin versus Jonas Yoder of 1972. That ruled that Amish parents have the fundamental right to free exercise of religion that outweighed the state's interest in educating their children. Worst case scenario, this passes. People take these receipts to midterms. We'll see what happens politically. But this will, I believe, become a Supreme Court ruling as unconstitutional if they continue to push these types of measures, not just in Illinois, but across the country. I believe this could very well make it to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. And I think the ruling would go the right way eventually down there. But the problem with that, though, is that could take 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And in the meantime, half of a child's education, if they are roped into the indoctrination, the damage is done to untold tens of thousands of children unless people are willing to just simply defy the law, which hey, in this situation, I'd be okay with.
Mm-hmm.
So
there will be civil disobedience. There's no question. I mean, look, 2 people have registered their weapons with the registry for the state of Illinois. I mean, there'll be incredible civil disobedience. And look, the middlemen and women who would be in charge of tasked with hounding these families and surveillancing them and coming for them, these regional boards of education, these regional superintendents of education, these are their friends in the community. They're not, it's going to be like the sheriff who said, yeah, we're not going to go knocking on doors for guns. These people do not want to police their friends and their neighbors. So this is going to be very difficult to even enforce, to fund. It is, I think the cracks are showing. I think that this has very weak support currently in the Senate and the Senate chamber of Illinois. So as people keep pressuring their senators, our call of action is to call your state senators these next 2 weeks before the next session starts up and get them on record that they are not going to support this bill because, again, midterms are coming up very quickly.
So with that in mind, the fight is still on to try to keep this thing from passing. But worst case scenario that it does, you were saying it's got to get to the Supreme Court. That takes lawsuits, and lawsuits take money. So how do people in Illinois help fund those lawsuits?
Well, maybe even pro bono law firms that would take that on. That's not our focus right now. Right now, we have momentum on our side to fight this as we, the people. Incredible momentum. I mean, crazy momentum. I haven't seen this type of fervor since really probably 2021 with medical apartheid. And, I was a parent who sued Pritzker for the forced masking of our children, the unlawful quarantining. We have so much momentum also in the federal government, to hold people accountable to these things. So I think that if people continue telling their friends, telling their neighbors, calling their state senators, legislators will say if they get like 3 phone calls on a bill, that's like a standout. They have had their phones ringing off the hook, but then people get comfortable, right? So people need to stay uncomfortable and stay vigilant and keep the pressure on because it is working.
Yeah, absolutely. We're visiting with Shannon Adcock from Awake, Illinois, and we just got a minute or so left here, Shannon. So we've covered what the call to action is. I think that's really smart strategically. Preemptively go and start contacting the state senators because they're not going to want to touch something that's too hot. But the state house has just been lunatics in Illinois over the past, years, but specifically this particular session as well. So getting out ahead of that is important. I mean, it's amazing to me, 135,000 witness slips against this. That tells me that there are far more than just the homeschooling community. There are people who just see injustice here and they're standing up saying this is too far. And right now the left is being put on notice and put on a spotlight. And they are simply saying, we don't care that we are in opposition to what the people of this state want. And so it's really exposing that disconnect between the hard left and so many people, particularly in downstate Illinois.
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
All right. And people want to follow and I hope they do. Obviously, everybody who's listening on the Illinois side of our listening area, but in Missouri, pay attention. These are our friends and our neighbors, and they may need some backup here at some point. So how do they follow what you're doing and your organization is doing, Shannon?
Well, they can subscribe to our newsletter at www.awakeil.com and follow us at awake_il on X, formerly known as Twitter. That's really the fastest way to get updates right now.
All right. And we've tagged you on our social media as well, Shannon. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. 314-912-1019.
Fight.
Yeah. I got some additional thoughts on this because the more I have dug into this, the more that this is an all-encompassing power grab.
Yes.
By the hard left. And now they painted other Democrats, like the downstate Democrats, into a really bad situation. I don't feel sorry for them, but I am one of those who doesn't like to throw around hyperbolic terms, but saying things like tyranny is not hyperbolic in this situation. I want to follow up with that right around 7:22.
Columbo and Company.
Friday, we wrap up the week with the latest from the White House, including their new policy about pronouns in email, plus Gabe Phifer, Ken Williams, and State Rep Travis Wilson.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Is your pup in need of a spa day? At Pretty Little Paws, we believe grooming should be a stress-free, tail-wagging experience. Our one-on-one, fear-free grooming ensures your furry friend gets the gentle, personalized care they deserve. No noisy kennels or long waits, just love, patience, and expert grooming in a calm, relaxing environment. Because a happy pup means a happy you. Pretty Little Paws, with 2 locations in O'Fallon and St. Peters. Visit us online at prettylittlepawsgrooming.com.
Looking for a unique dining experience? Discover a Findy Kitchen, the Midwest's only authentic Uyghur restaurant, now open in Chesterfield Valley. Join us for a culinary journey through halal Chinese cuisine that's already winning hearts in New York and LA. Our locally owned restaurant brings the vibrant flavors of Uyghur culture right to St. Louis. Visit us today and receive a free eco tote bag with any purchase over $35. A Findy Kitchen, where tradition meets taste. Find us in Chesterfield Valley or online at afindykitchen.com.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com. The 80s. Excellent. Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Man, they're like going with the standards of the 80s with Men at Work here this week. This is fun.
Mm-hmm. See, I never knew that this was an 80s song, but I'm really glad it is because I love the song. So
and because of this song, millions of Americans became aware of what a Vegemite is.
So in high school, in our world affairs class, we were learning about Australia. They played the song for us, and the teacher brought in Vegemite.
Oh, yes.
It's gross.
I would not recommend it.
No, it's gross.
It's terrible.
It's
they can keep that one down.
It's absolutely disgusting.
So salty.
But we know what it is
yes.
now at this point. All right, 7:24. Okay, so by the way, at 7:35, just because it's Friday, and I've already warned everybody, I'm in kind of a weird mood. I saw somebody put another one of those questions out there. It's like, what are the most like unhinged, bizarre things you do to control yourself from spending money you shouldn't spend?
Bizarre things?
Yes. Like, what are the things people do to themselves and impose on themselves to stop them from spending money that they shouldn't be spending?
That's an interesting question. Like, I don't think I have anything necessarily that's bizarre because having grown up poor, I have to fight my poor man mentality to begin with just to buy myself shoes.
Yes. See, I same where but some of these are hysterical.
Giant holes in it. I was like, it's still good. I know.
Yeah, I can glue it.
Yeah, exactly.
They make shoe glue.
The sole's flapping. It's like I can get that back on.
That's right. Yeah. All right. So some of that list, those are really funny. All right, 7:25 right now. We've got, by the way, Larry Connor's commentary coming your way here in about 10 minutes or so. Okay, so let me follow up on this with Shannon, and I always want to check in with Shannon every 2 or 3 weeks. By the way, once we get through this, I want to keep that dialogue with Awake Illinois. They're doing some really kick butt stuff there. So here's the thing: is when you dig into this, I don't use words like tyranny that much. I am not one of those hyperbolic guys. I think we do a disservice when we use hyperbolic language. For everything we don't like.
Yeah.
Even bad ideas on the left.
It becomes a Chicken Little sort of situation.
Exactly. This bill it's not hyperbolic to say that. Because when I said the government is literally coming in to compete with the family. And Shannon goes, no, they were trying to replace your family.
Mm-hmm.
She's right.
Yeah.
So what you've got here, and she's absolutely right when you say follow the money on this. Since 2020 and 2021 with the Pritzker shutdowns, which by the way, he did like how many dozens of continuing declarations of a state of emergency during COVID.
Oh yeah.
It was insane.
And he had to in order to maintain the power that he was wielding.
Yeah. And people were scared of him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing like a ball game in Sauget at the old Sauget ballpark. I go into that gas station right there on Highway 3. And just because I had this thing where I would always go in before game, I grab a bottle of water, I grab, protein bar, whatever. And I walked in and the gal freaked out. You got to put a mask on. A dude in his pajamas who was filling up his car screaming at me, you have to wear a mask.
Oh yeah. People were freaking out.
And they were freaking out. And I looked at that guy. I'm like, first of all, mind your own business.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
talk to me that way.
And she's like, you have to. I said, says who? She goes, says the governor. I said, or what? She goes, you have to put it on. I said, are you not going to take my money if I'm not wearing a mask? Because I'd already had it.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, you have to leave.
Wow. Okay. Well, there it is.
They actually were that scared of the government. That's how Illinois operates, with the government making sure that people are in fear of the government, not the government in fear of the people, the other way around. That's got to change.
And that is why I got the heck out of Dodge and moved away, because I was in the Chicago area, even in drive-thrus, even when you were giving them a card, when you had gloves on, if you did not have a specific mask on, you couldn't just put your shirt over your mouth and give it to them, and they would say, no, we're not going to serve you.
Wow.
Like so
that's wild. At a drive-thru.
Yeah. So there's a couple times I got bored being locked up. So I'm just driving because there's no traffic now. So I'm like, okay, I'll go for a drive. I'm not even near anybody.
Right.
And I would find somewhere and just kind of park and rest and enjoy the view. And quite literally, a cop would come up and say, you can't just be loitering here. I'm like, it's a public area. It's like, yeah, but COVID restrictions, you got to get going. It's like, what are you talking about? Who am I bothering?
This is how the left thinks in Illinois. I mean, don't get about. I think that's how they think in Missouri. They just have no power to do it.
Right. Yeah.
But with this particular bill, what they want to do is outlaw homeschooling.
Yes.
They know they can't do that at the moment, but what they can do is crack down and regulate it into the point where they create so many offenses and regulations that people will not participate in, that they can try to do that campaign of intimidation.
Yeah.
You trot a few violators, so-called violators, in front of the cameras, do a couple perp walks because somebody is, whatever the accusation is. This is a power grab and control grab. That is probably among the biggest. Now, to Shannon's point about, remember when the gun law went into effect, which we knew was going to be declared unconstitutional.
Yes.
And I actually had some people upset with me because I said, if I still lived in Illinois, I personally would not comply with this law.
Yes.
And I would not be shy about saying I will not comply. And
all of us were saying that at the time.
Literally, like tens of people registered their weapons. Tens of morons out there. And I had people really get upset with me saying, you're a conservative talk station. This is law and order. You should, even if you don't like the law, you're supposed to follow the law. And I went, no, not an unjust law like that. Not one that violates your human rights like this. Families have a right to rear their children the way that they want. I don't have to like the way you rear your children. I think that there is a role to say you cannot abuse your children. You cannot punch your kid in the mouth.
Right.
Like you can't punch any other human being in the mouth. But parents and families have a right to rear their children the way they want. This, as Shannon was accurately pointing out, is a response to thousands and thousands of families in Illinois for a variety of reasons, saying we are disengaging from your public education system.
We're opting out.
Not just because of the ideology, but you look at the quality and the test scores, they're not educating. And this is about recapturing the customer base that has left and forcing them back in eventually.
Yeah, because first of all, the money's good. And second, the ideological capture is necessary for them to continue their march towards the dystopian leftist hellscape that they really want.
And they are one of the states, like Colorado, like California, who prioritizes the left-wing indoctrination. They don't care if your kid can't read or write, but they want to make sure that kid uses pronouns and affirms mental illnesses. I mean, that's really how they think. And so they know that they have crossed that route. They can't go back. They've got to try to push this forward. So Shannon's political instincts are right on. Start putting pressure on your state senators.
Yes.
Right away.
Call, write, email,
show up at their office.
Show up at their office.
I mean, do it professionally and politely.
Yes.
But firmly as well.
There's a level of harassment that's allowed in political communication.
Right. If you do it the right way.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So make sure that we kill this thing in the state Senate. And then if they end up passing it, because Pritzker is going to sign it, it ends up going through the court system for years. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I can tell you that if my children were still young and I lived in Illinois, I wouldn't comply.
Same.
Yeah. All right. We got Larry Connors coming your way here in just a couple of minutes.
Speaking of authoritarianism, China's public relations campaign to fight Trump is so wrong.
He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today, cooler with a high of 60. There is a chance for a few sprinkles in the morning. By late afternoon, the clouds will start to decrease. Will be mostly clear overnight as we drop to 41. Saturday, sunny skies with a high of 66. Partly cloudy Saturday night, we drop to 49. And for Sunday, sunny and breezy with southerly wind gusts to 30 miles per hour, but it's going to be warm with a high of 79. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
McGuire Moving is silver certified, which means they are great at relocating senior citizens. In fact, McGuire is a household name because McGuire understands the stress involved when moving older adults. So if you or family members need help moving, I highly recommend McGuire Moving. 314-241-0600. 241-0600. Get a free in-home estimate. McGuireMoving.com.
Larry Connors Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connors Commentary on News Talk STL.
Are you aware how desperate China is getting to make Trump and his tariffs look bad? China's ambassador to Australia argued for the Aussies join China and fight back against that bully, Trump. Australia rejected the invitation, saying, we're not going to hold hands with China. Other nations who were yelping are now working with Trump to reduce tariffs on their goods, and the bully, Trump, is working with them. It's the art of the deal. So now China is trying a new public relations tactic. They're playing 72-year-old footage of Mao, the founder of the Chinese Communist Party. They're showing it to their subjects, to anyone who will watch. They're trying to show we can be strong like Mao, do this again. If you know history, Mao is not a good role model. It'd be like Germany running footage of Hitler insisting, this is how we will win. No, it does not work. Mao melted down tractors and plows, slaughtered livestock. If the people were to survive, they had to farm with no tools, no equipment. It's estimated that under his leadership, either directly or by starvation, he killed 30 to 55 million.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
I want to tell you more about Wellington Environmental's dustless blasting services. Wellington can blast paint, grease, graffiti, even stripes off parking lots. Truly amazing and powerful. But can Wellington blast something more sensitive? Yes, Wellington can use dry ice to blast soot and odors off smoke-damaged surfaces right after a fire. Currently, Wellington uses dry ice to clean mold off wood inside a home. Why? Well, dry ice immediately disappears, turns into a vapor. That means no mess to clean up, no damaged surfaces. You need to check with Wellington. Always researching and practicing with new, better, faster, safer equipment and products for you. And it's very easy to schedule an estimator for your next project. Call Cindy, 314-644-4930, 644-4930. Be well with Wellington.
Are you sitting on hidden treasure? Manchester Coin and Jewelry wants to turn your valuables into cash. We're Missouri's premier gold buyers and jewelry specialists with years of expertise. We offer top dollar for your coins, antiques, precious metals, and collectibles. From gold and silver to clocks and jewelry, we buy it all. Don't let your treasures collect dust. Let Manchester Coin and Jewelry give you the best value. Visit online at buyingvaluables.net or come see him today at 141 in Manchester and tell him Newstalk STL sent you.
Attention St. Charles, looking for a local spot that satisfies all your cravings? Mario's Donut Restaurant is your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches and omelets to delicious gyros, Mexican dishes, salads, and wraps, we've got it all. And don't forget our famous donuts. They're so good, they'll make your eyes glaze over. Dine in or carry out. Our friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit. Call 636-447-4515 or visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
This is what's happening.
USAID has been transformed into an America Last foreign aid slush fund.
Illegal alien encounters are down 87%. This is what real leadership looks like.
1019 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
The 80s. Never been a decade like it, never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
This Satriani?
Yep. This is an interesting request. And I knew this song before, but somebody said we got to play some Satriani.
Yeah.
I was like, right on.
Man, I mean, he's got a unique style to where you hear it and you're like, that's Joe Satriani.
Yep.
Now you got to be kind of an 80s rock nerd like me to pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I could listen, I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds like that guitar player, you know, but that's clearly Satriani.
Oh, yeah. That entire album's just fantastic,
Yeah.
and it still holds up.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. All right, 7:38 right now here. Okay, I was so proud of myself the other day, guys. You know, because you guys are in this studio. I don't talk about it a lot on the air, but I've been trying to, get in really good shape, and I've been, eating pretty clean. You guys have seen, I'm really careful what I eat. I don't go out to eat that much.
Very
and
disciplined.
I allow myself once a week or so to go out and just have a meal at the restaurant.
You get a cheat.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even when I go there, I don't really cheat there. So I've been really disciplined on that. But here's how that's right. And I've trimmed up. I'm in better shape than I've been in a while. Now, a lot of this is, I want to play baseball well. But I was so proud of myself the other day. I played in Fairview Heights, Illinois. It was a late night, game ended. And what I would do in years past is I'm driving back and they've got a Wendy's there. They've got a McDonald's there. They've got a Taco Bell there. They've got a Chick-fil-A there. They've got all these things there. And I would say, I would justify to myself, you know what? I'm trying to stay in shape. But I just played a full 9-inning baseball game. It's fine. And I would go through and just find a way to do that.
Right.
And then of course you end up spending, $10-12 or whatever the case is. And, the other night I knew that I'd be tempted to do that. So I put a protein bar and a trail mix pack in my car. And so I'm driving in and that little thing, I'm like, nope, not going to eat the cheeseburger or go to Taco Bell or whatever the case is. Because I don't want to do that. And I end up saving myself a little bit of money, and not eating it. So I was just proud of that little thing I did because I knew I was going to have to debate myself in order to, one, not spend the money, and two, not eat some crap that I shouldn't have been eating in the first place.
So you anticipated the desire and you went out of your way to do a thing to make sure you wouldn't do the bad thing.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And then I find when I get into work, a woman on TikTok asked people to tell her the most, and what she called the most unhinged ways they kept themselves from spending money and buying stuff that they shouldn't have been buying in the first place. Like for me, it would have been fast food.
Right.
And so a lot of these answers came in, and they ended up listing like the top 10 of them.
Okay.
But do you guys ever have to do like any like particular mental things or even like physical things? Because I remember when I don't carry a credit card anymore. I've got one, but I don't carry it. At one point, I would take my credit and debit cards when I, was struggling building it. When young parent, single parent, I would physically take my cards out of my wallet, leave them in a drawer when I went out, just to make sure that I would not go buy something at some point.
Oh yeah. Well, back in the day when I had very little money, but occasionally I'd get like a payout from my student loans or something like that, so for my living expenses for a period of time for the semester or whatever. And yeah, I had my bank account looked big, but that was just because I had cash for the entire semester. I would divide my cash into envelopes.
Oh, yeah. Ramsey wrote up a thing about that once. The envelope, he called it the envelope system.
And I'm not sure if this was before, it probably was before Ramsey actually put it in pen to paper, but I think my dad told me about this or something. But yeah, I divided into basically a week's worth of cash. Okay, this is this week's, this is all the cash. And they went in my wallet, and when I was out, I'm out.
Yeah. So, I try to pay cash as much as I physically can. I try to leave only enough to cover, auto pay bills on my card. So every time I go to a gas station or grocery store and I have some change in my center console, I just drop it right in there. And then that way, if I need money later on, I'm like, oh, here's just a bunch of coins for $20. Kind of a little piggy bank.
Okay, so some of the answers that she got. Okay. And if you've got some, send them to me on social media or give me a call here.
How do you keep yourself from overspending?
And I don't think this is a order of popularity. They just got a list. One of them said physically lock the credit cards.
Oh, okay. So just put them in a safe.
Basically make it really inconvenient. You can still go get to it, but if you've got to go get a key and unlock it or unlatch something, then it's going to be a little bit of a hassle. Gives you plenty of time to go, I really need to be doing this.
Right.
Here's one I thought was pretty funny. Somebody said they make themselves run 1 minute for every dollar that they spend on something that's unnecessary.
Nice.
So you spend $25 on something you didn't need.
25 minutes.
You're running for 25 minutes.
Nice.
If you got the discipline, do that. Yeah. Here's a funny one. Tape a picture of your parents to your credit card.
Okay.
And find them giving you like the Vance glance.
Yeah, the disapproving look.
The disapproving look. I love that one.
Oh, that was pretty good, actually.
Oh my goodness. This is one I used to do when I was a kid, except I did it the opposite way. It said calculate how long you'd have to work to pay for this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Break it down into hours. So I mean, let's say you make, I don't know, in today's world, you make $20 an hour. Oh, that thing's really cool. It's only $100. Okay, well, is that worth 5 hours of my labor?
Right.
I do that.
You do that? Okay.
I already do that. Yep.
Just mentally.
When I first started working, and I started working when I was like 13 or 14. Of course, back then you got paid like $3 an hour.
Yeah.
And if I wanted back then you would go to the mall and get a tape, music tape.
Yeah.
And they were about $9 back then. And like every 3 hours, I'm like, oh, I can buy that new tape now.
Every 3 hours.
I did it the wrong way.
You're doing the wrong way.
Yeah. Let's see here.
But you were 13.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Here's another one. Think of it as stealing from yourself
in the future.
In the future. Yeah, that's conceptual. That's a little harder to do, but it's an interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting exercise.
Yeah, I love this one. Number 9 on the list. Boycott everything. Just simply go find a reason to boycott a company, because if you tell yourself you're boycotting, you're likely to be more. So just put it like, you know what? They used that script I hate in their logo. I'm boycott. Just find a reason to boycott absolutely everything. And you're going to save money.
I don't like the font they use in there.
That's right.
In their ads.
Therefore, I'm boycotting.
Therefore, I'm boycotting.
You know what? They hired somebody that I suspect was a Cubs fan. I am boycotting. Just find a reason. And like the person, like they were making up stuff to find a reason to boycott.
I don't like
somebody.
the tile on their floor.
That's right. Yeah. Boycott.
Boycott.
I will never go into that place again.
It's too sunny outside.
It's too sunny outside. Boycotting everything.
That's right. And then here on the number 10 on the list, one as said, just start binge watching Hoarders.
Oh,
have you ever watched that show?
Yeah, that terrifies me.
Yeah, I've seen. I'm not sure it's a specific show, but yes, I've seen lots of examinations of Hoarders.
I watched that show one time. I couldn't do it. I got mad at the people.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're like, oh, this is an illness and you should feel sorry. I got mad at them. I couldn't watch it. I was so angry at those people for not managing their lives and having that level of filth around them. I could not do it. I have no idea why I had such a visceral reaction to that.
Well, it's because the thing is, it goes beyond just having too many knicknacks.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, look, there's some people are collectors. If you came in my house and you saw all the superhero and comic book stuff, and it's like, Gabe, you spend too much money on this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, but I make good money. But but these people, they would collect newspapers and boxes and there would be stacks of them and it would be all over the floor.
Mhm.
They would let their animals go wherever they
Right.
want. They would never do their dishes. It's like it's beyond just I'm a collector and I like stuff.
To be fair, though, the only difference between collecting and hoarding is what the stuff is worth.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Now I will say there is not enough of the collector stuff in my house to cover the floors so that you couldn't tell what sort of carpet I have. Because that's what happens in the hoarder houses, right? It's like it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't walk.
See, and the thing is like my grandparents, all of them obviously are gone by now, but they lived through the Depression.
Mhm.
And so they would hold on to stuff that they thought, well, I might need this someday.
That's true.
Because they went through, but that's different than hoarding.
Yes.
This was like, oh, that's a wire. I may need that someday to hold something together because they'd been through the Depression.
Yes.
Not a matter of, I'm never going to get rid of these jars of whatever, these soup cans or whatever.
Right. It's empty soup cans.
That brings in the bugs and whatnot. Yeah.
You don't clean them because you can't get to your sink because it's full of stuff.
Right. Exactly. All right. Hey, coming up on 7:50 on a Friday. You know what that means?
Not today, Satan.
Here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
At Complete Forestry Mulching, we're not just clearing land, we're creating possibilities. Brian Akers, owner and longtime supporter of Newstalk STL, and our team helps property owners reclaim their land by eliminating invasive species and unwanted brush. Whether you're creating hunting paths, expandable usable space, or establishing clear property lines, we'll transform challenging terrain into pristine landscapes. Our state-of-the-art equipment doesn't just clear, it creates a protective layer of natural mulch, preventing erosion and keeping your soil healthy for years to come. Take control of your property today and save $500 on a full day of forestry mulching services. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call Complete Forestry Mulching at 314-805-9902, 314-805-9902, or find us on Facebook. Complete Forestry Mulching. Together, let's clear the path to your property's future.
Hey, if you're 50 or older, you do not want to take any risk with your money. In fact, you want Leslie Consulting. My friend Bob Leslie can show you a gain and retain plan. Means that you never lose. Plus, you get up to a 20% bonus on day one. Leslie Consulting, a leader in brokerage and risk management. 314-721-0066. LeslieConsulting.com.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriati's, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
The 80s.
Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where are the beat?
It's Flashback Friday.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on News Talk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
No, just keep playing. Guns
Yeah, we got
N'
to
Roses.
we got to get there.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
Man, I
Will
love this song.
never get old.
No, never.
Yeah,
Never.
it's kind of funny. I remember back in like 1988.
Mhm.
I'm a junior in high school, and me and I don't know why I remember this. Me and one of my classmates / teammates. It was one of those days where we had to drive to Quincy to take the ACT,
Mhm.
and then we had to make it all the way out to Rushville in Brown County to play a baseball game, for my high school. And so it was a Saturday. It was a really, really busy day. And we were playing Def Leppard's Hysteria in
Mhm.
my car. We had the cassette. And I don't remember if he said that or I said, like, I will never get tired of this album. And then, of course, the back of my head is, biggest tire. No. That album still holds up today.
It's
Guns
awesome.
N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction still holds up today. Just as good today as it was back then.
Forever.
Just saying. All right. It is 7:51. You know what that means.
It's the weird, the wacky, and the worrisome. These are the stories that make you say,
Look on the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening. Devil.
Just don't know where to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
high fashion has always struck me as weird, but this item showing up in the UK is next level. It's a handbag that looks like a stack of dinner rolls that goes for over $350.
Well, isn't that special?
You mean like a print that looks like, or that's actually shaped like
it's shaped like if you just saw it sitting on a table, it would look like a pile of dinner rolls.
Oh.
It's very weird.
That's strange.
It's very weird. Okay, so the Pizza Express dough ball handbag comes complete with a garlic butter keychain for 280 British pounds, or approximately $365.
Wow. I don't know what's weirder, the fact that they have that or that people will pay that much money for it.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head's at. I don't know which part of that story is weirder. UK pizza chain Pizza Express is releasing an entire Icons collection range in collaboration with Agro Studio to celebrate its 60th birthday. George Oxby and Angus Cockram, co-directors at Agro Studio, said, quote, "At Agro, we thrive on creating bold, conversation-starting pieces that not only look good, but also tell a story."
Okay, the word bold is often used because you're so right about like fashion. I mean, it's like you see some of these like clips, like, look, here's the latest fashion show, and you go,
bold.
Who and what would wear that? You've got a latex cat suit with a car tire and bricks on your feet, and that's the latest. I mean, you're not going to Target wearing that. Who's wearing this?
There was one runway I saw where like people had literally strapped another person to themselves with the fashion. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, so I think that the conversation starter here is, why does your bag look like food? And the story being told is that you like to waste money, don't you?
Yes, there it is.
Next.
There it is.
Easter season is upon us, and what better way to celebrate the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ than with heart disease via deep fried chocolate malted Easter bunnies?
Yes. Okay. Weirdly, I'm interested in the rest of this story right now.
Yes, I am also. Okay, oddly enough, the food oddity is not coming out of the South or a random carnival food stall, but a fish and chip shop in Oxfordshire, England. Okay, so the news delivered through a Reddit post showed the front door of the shop with a handwritten sign advertising the battered Maltesers bunny, with the caption from the Redditor commenting, "Things have gone too far."
Yes. Okay. So this is, what have they battered and fried now here?
It's called a Maltesers bunny. So you know those chocolate covered malted malt balls kind of thing.
Yeah.
Apparently they make a giant Easter bunny out of that. So it's a malted confection covered in chocolate. So apparently, I guess they freeze it and then batter it and then deep fry it.
Again, I'm not totally opposed. There's just something intriguing.
Now, an apparent past customer of the shop commented on the post saying, "They always do this around Easter. I remember when they first had a sign up for a battered cream egg."
Just the way Jesus was thinking about.
Exactly. When Jesus was on the cross, he was thinking,
that's what he was thinking.
This is so you could have battered cream
honestly,
eggs
that's
in spring.
That's why he resurrected himself, was to get the
exactly
battered.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the point. Okay, I have my fair share of unhealthy food obsessions, but this stuff just sounds gross.
Oh yeah, that's
okay. Now, in our last story here, you've heard nightmare date stories before, but I doubt your friends can top this one, where the dude capped the night by discussing his desire to eat human flesh.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no.
Huh?
Yeah, okay. And the start of the story makes it even weirder. TikToker Hannah Davies shared her story, and it's a doozy. She matched with a man she says she found sexy, and they messaged each other every day for around 2 weeks before agreeing to meet, at which point things started to go left. Okay, so with the man's stated veganism in mind, that's a good good place to start with the weird and the.
Yeah, I'm not sure which is worse, a cannibal or a vegan. Anyway.
How about a cannibal vegan? Because okay, with his veganism in mind, Hannah ordered some cheesy garlic mushrooms. She didn't want to offend him by eating meat in front of him.
Sure,
cheesy garlic mushrooms. But when they, only for him to yell at her that the cheese is torture.
Vegan.
Yes. They don't like dairy either. So,
yes. So that's different than vegetarian.
That's right.
Oh, right.
Quote, by eating cheesy garlic mushrooms, I was basically murdering animals. She described the conversation. As I teased earlier, the big topper for the date was when he confessed that despite being a vegan, the top item on his bucket list is to consume human flesh.
Oh, yeah. No.
Okay. Now, this guy actually wondered why she didn't want a second date.
Yeah, imagine that.
He was honestly confused. Okay, look, as I've said before, if I were to suddenly become single, there's no way I'm wading into the modern dating scene. But for those of you still looking for your special someone out there, if your date happens to casually mention an affinity towards cannibalism, you know what you need to say.
That's right.
Look on the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening. Devil.
Just anywhere to be sure.
Not today.
And we got to the information segment here pretty quick here, but do you still have the list of like what days it is and all that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, how about around 8:20? I want to get the update because I actually really love those. And today is National Pet Day.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that last week, and so if you got a great picture of your pet, please send them our way. I want to see them. Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
This is Marc Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
When it's important to you,
They always discuss the most important topics.
it's on News Talk STL.
You'll see a Tesla vehicle catch fire.
President Trump and the DOJ say those caught will face the harshest penalties.
News, analysis, opinion.
Donald Trump and House Republicans are crashing the American economy in real time.
USAID has been transformed into an America Last foreign aid slush fund.
#1 for live and local conservative talk.
My talk station.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rick Thomason. The latest inflation report is just in. Inflation at the wholesale level eased last month. That mirrors yesterday's report on consumer prices. China says one more time on raising tariffs on U.S. imports. Chinese tariffs will increase to 125% starting tomorrow. China says that's about as high as it will go. American tariffs on Chinese products stand at 145%. More from the BBC's Marika Oy.
This is the latest twist, Beijing raising its retaliatory tariffs to over 100%, basically meaning that any companies having to import would have to pay more than double. So many analysts have been telling us that these tariffs are so high that it's almost impossible for any businesses making products and trying to sell them in each other's countries to make a profit. So I think it's fair to say that the damage to bilateral trade between the world's two biggest economies is pretty much almost done.
And one international trade expert says President Trump has his work cut out for him in achieving fair trade deals with foreign governments.
Former California Congressman John Campbell says, as we all know by now, when it comes to unfair trade,
China's the worst offender by far.
But Campbell tells the Salem Radio Network achieving fair trade with 75 other countries will amount to a lot of painstaking negotiation.
Each country's industries and things they want to protect of themselves are different.
Campbell tells the Salem Radio Network since World War II, the U.S. has been the only country engaging in truly free trade, and that's put a damper on many U.S. industries. Bob Agnew reporting.
Another U.S. citizen who had been imprisoned in Russia is now back home. Asenia Carolina was released in a prisoner swap. The woman was visiting family in Russia. She donated about $50 to a Ukraine charity, was then arrested and convicted of treason. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 152 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
With Progressive, we talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Your dog's diet should be as colorful as yours. Dr. Fido's Dog Food Topper, a plant-based topper featuring ingredients from 40 whole foods, just stir into their food to enrich your dog's diet. Vet developed, dog trusted. But don't just take our word for it.
She even used to work cattle and lots of miles under her feet, and she is happier on the Dr. Fido's. I've been super impressed with it.
Go to drfidos.com today and subscribe to save $20 each month. That's DRPA.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today, cooler with a high of 60. There is a chance for a few sprinkles in the morning. By late afternoon, the clouds will start to decrease. Will be mostly clear overnight as we drop to 41. Saturday, sunny skies with a high of 66. Partly cloudy Saturday night, we drop to 49. And for Sunday, sunny and breezy with southerly wind gusts to 30 miles per hour, but it's going to be warm with a high of 79. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Basement with a Y. That's basement E.
It's basement T.
Basement E.
It's basement T.
Oh, basement T. Basement T. I get it. That's the basement waterproofing and foundation repair experts at Woods Basement Systems.
Right. The All Things Basement Tea experts at Woods Basement Systems will provide you a free estimate and dry out that wet basement and fix that cracked foundation. Call 800-388-9326 or go online to woodsbasementsystems.com.
That's woodsbasementsystems.com.
Confused about tariffs and trade policies? The Hammond Institute at Lindenwood University and News Talk STL present economist Dr. Nicholas L. Zebarth in their H.F. Langenberg Memorial Speaker Series. Join us April 24th as Dr. Zebarth breaks down what tariffs really are, how they work, and separates economic fact from fiction. Don't miss this chance to expand your economic understanding with one of Missouri's leading experts. Reserve your spot now at newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Phifer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Okay, we're almost to the weekend here.
Yeah.
For us here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this. By the way, I just want to mention one of the things that some people comment. I'm like, I really have fun on Friday because let's be honest, the stereotype of news talk is angry.
Yeah, exactly.
Hating everybody,
We're
screaming.
Gonna
And
rant about what the left is doing today.
we
I
don't
feel taxed.
yeah, we don't really roll like that. I mean, I get worked up over stuff like the bill in Illinois
Yeah.
that we were just talking about. It really, really infuriates me because of the injustice.
Yes.
Not because somebody disagrees with me on the left. I mean, I can debate that, and I frankly enjoy it sometimes. Other times, you got to take it very seriously. But it's just massive injustice and immorality, and so you get
Yes.
worked up. But you got to have fun sometimes.
You have
Not
to.
with that, but
No,
you gotta have fun with that,
You got to be able to decompress.
Yep. Okay, but let's catch up here and touch on the big news stories today. We are going to keep you updated on that. This is really an interesting situation. The Supreme Court tells the Trump administration to bring back an immigrant who's actually accused of being a gang member. At least that's one side of the story. Also, lots of sports to check out in town this weekend, and two of our teams are going to be competing for your ticket sales on Sunday. Who's actually going to outdraw who? I think this is fascinating. It is 8:06 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you here.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news dump.
Okay, so how do you view this one? I'm curious. The Supreme Court has ordered that Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Now, this is an immigrant into the country. Notice I'm using the word immigrant.
You're using the word immigrant.
Who was, by the Department of Justice's own admission, was wrongly deported to El Salvador. The Supreme Court is ordering that he be returned to the United States, ordering that the president go out and facilitate this guy being brought back to the U.S. Here's the thing. The Trump administration says he was deported on what they're calling an administrative error. They're admitting that the deportation happened and it should not have.
Should not have.
Legally speaking, it should not have. However, they say he is an MS-13 gang member.
And he's out of their hands.
Right. And so now he's out of the country.
Right.
They're saying this guy's not a citizen, and they say he's an MS-13 gang member. On the Ingram angle on Fox, Senator Eric Schmidt says he agrees with the Trump administration when they say they don't want to go bring him back to the country.
This guy is deportable. This guy is a gang member. He is an MS-13 member, and they can deport him.
So Garcia was deported on March 15th of this year. He was granted that legal, I haven't read that he ever came into the country illegally. I don't think he did.
Yeah.
But he was granted a status that was supposed to prevent him from deportation in 2019, which was under the first Trump administration. So this is not one of the Biden recklessness things. This guy went through some kind of process. However,
apparently
the Trump administration says, MS-13 may be one of the most violent, brutal gangs in the world.
Yes.
From other parts of the world. And but he's never been convicted of anything.
Right. He hasn't conceivably done any crimes. They just affiliated him with the gang.
So there's really no appeal to this because the Supreme Court's ruled it. So what the Trump administration does remains to be seen on it. But it's a really interesting thing because the Supreme Court, and a lot of people are angry with the Supreme Court over this. And I kind of get that because, they're saying, hey, we got a violent, gang member here. We want to be able to get rid of him. He's not a citizen. But the Supreme Court doesn't rule on whether it's a good or bad idea. They rule on whether or not the law was followed. And this, as I recall, was a unanimous decision.
Right.
So you had, KJB and, who's the most conservative one we would say at this point, Thomas.
Thomas.
Let's say Thomas. So, they both agree, on this. So that's an interesting time because you're talking about limiting what the government's going to do. But at the same time, we demand the government get rid of the threats and the bad guys. This guy is accused of being a threat and a bad guy, but he hasn't been convicted of anything.
Right.
And he's actually done the immigration thing, at least to the point of having that legal status.
Right. So I think the difference here is, if you're going to assert that he's a gang member, he's part of an organization that does this, and maybe on some level that is illegal, or that is something that you can't do as an immigrant, because there are things you can't do as an immigrant. There are things you can't do under like a green card regulation that go beyond what a citizen is allowed. You know what I mean? You can't even be affiliated with certain things.
Right.
And if you're a green card holder, so maybe he is deportable as Eric Schmidt said. But the thing is, you have to adjudicate that properly.
Yeah.
So him getting booted, I think, on this wartime
well, he wasn't
law.
alien. Oh yeah, I guess he was alien enemies, but
Yeah.
but you know, they're now saying, okay, we messed up,
But whatever.
and the Supreme Court says, yeah, the but doesn't apply here. It just stops with we messed up.
Yeah. Now, if you bring them back, then maybe you go
Right.
through whatever the other process is for removing a green card eligibility or,
Right,
or whatever, which is
status he's got,
that's a different law. There's a different process to it. So, I mean, it may be just a process issue. It may just be, okay, well, he's going to end up in El Salvador anyway,
right?
But you got to go through the proper channels. Otherwise, everything, all the rules are out the window.
Right. And this is different than the other case of the Venezuelan gang members who are in the country illegally.
Right.
So let's not get them confused, because this is really
it's not the same.
Yep. All right. U.S. Senator Elissa Slotkin, who is a Democrat out of Michigan, has introduced a bill that would ban Chinese cars from entering the United States.
Okay.
Saying those cars and their parts are a risk to national security. So here's what the senator told The Story with Martha McCallum on Fox.
3D mapping, LiDAR, geolocation of specific people, all that data, rafts of data is going back to Beijing for them to use as they see fit. That's what we're trying to ban, not just the vehicle itself, but the parts that control the data and send it back.
Okay, so there's the concept here.
Mm-hmm.
If you make this car, if this is a Chinese branded car, I don't know what a Chinese brand, is there a Chinese brand of cars that's being sold?
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's being
Well,
sold?
that's sold in the U.S. I don't know.
So, yeah, I don't know, because I've never heard of Chinese cars in the United States. I don't know. Japanese, Korean, obviously, German. We know all of those, but
yeah, I can't think of any brand names, but I've seen videos of them, and they look cool until they catch flames.
Well, yeah,
happens quite often.
Yeah, that does tend to mess up the aesthetic.
This is surprising. I just kind of looked it up. The Buick Envision SUV is the first mainstream Chinese-built car to be sold in the U.S.
Really?
Followed by the Volvo S90.
Volvo, wow, okay,
and the
interesting.
Polestar 2. Now, that Polestar, I think, might be a Chinese brand.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So that's the thing.
That's the thing. Okay. Don't like that.
Yeah. All right. But should we be banning a car because it's a Chinese brand? And she's saying, well, if they're because
Chinese parts,
because
and
the
everything.
parts are going to be basically sending the data back to basically what TikTok and now Facebook are being accused of doing. So here's the thing, though. The bill would give the Department of Commerce the authority to ban vehicles or components if they deem it a security threat. Listen, if you're going to ban it, own it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't outsource it to bureaucrats. We've already had enough issues with administrative state by handing off your power to a bunch of faceless bureaucrats. If you're going to do it, and then we can debate it here. So she also says Chinese cars put American jobs at risk. That is the wrong reason to ban stuff. That's not the proper use of government. But the other stuff, I'm open to the argument here. All right, let's see here. What else? Let's see here. We just had Not Today Satan, but let me add another one here.
Yeah.
A bat that found its way into a Webster Groves home, which Goat Lady said is a very bougie bat because it picked
Webster Groves.
Webster Groves, yeah. Found its way into a Webster Groves home last week, tested positive for rabies, and obviously in St. Louis County. County officials say there were more reports of bats getting into homes in 2024 than in previous years, but they don't know why bats are going into domiciles more than in years past. Just for the record, they advise us not to try to capture the air puppies if they are in your house. So if you see a bat in your house, they say, by the way, don't go pick it up and grab it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They say close the door and confine it into the room and then call animal control.
I've seen one capture one with a pillowcase before,
Yeah,
like mid-air.
Okay, so here's what's funny is when I was in college and I after I was at Mizzou, I went to what was then known as CMSU, now University of Central Missouri. Back then it was CMSU. And some of my roommates and I, we rented a house there in Warrensburg, and a bat got into the house. And so we called animal control, and this is in the 90s. And they actually said, well, just pick it up and put it up in the tree in the front yard. And so we did.
Oh, gosh.
Just
grab it.
And we're like, this doesn't seem like a good idea. But the expert, so we
grab
did. We just
Put it
picked him up
outside.
which, I mean, now I'm thinking, what a moron we were for that. I mean, we didn't hurt it. I didn't want the thing hurt, but that it was in a windowsill.
Yep.
And so back then they're like, well, just take it outside. And now we're like, yeah, don't touch the bat that found a way into your house.
Yeah, exactly. Because it probably has rabies and it might bite you.
And this one has had rabies.
Yeah.
This one has had. I'm sure they've killed it. But yeah, this one has had rabies, and so confine it. Stop, block off the room, and then I would say add some garlic in the hallway.
That Webster Groves bats needs to stop hanging with our North County bats.
That's right.
Bad influence.
Okay, some interesting stuff happening sports-wise here. The Battle Hawks face their toughest opponent of the season so far. That's going to happen on Sunday. DC Defenders are going to visit the Dome. That is a 2 p.m. game on Sunday. Both teams are 2-0, and DC's defense is legit. I mentioned I watched their game last Friday. They were on Fox on Friday night last Friday. That's a legit defense, and so it's going to be the first real test of the Battle Hawks. Between Sailors, our running back, and then Manny Wilkins, our quarterback. They've got a real test this week. The game's going to be on Channel 30, but there are some tickets left for that. By the way, the Cardinals begin a series with the Phillies tonight at Busch Stadium. First pitch is at 7:15. You can catch that game on FanDuel. The Cardinals-Phillies game on Sunday, exact same time as the Battle Hawks DC Defenders game. Both of them like 2 or 3 miles from each other. Is it possible that the Battle Hawks could outdraw the Cardinals on Sunday?
Ooh, that's wild.
Is that now?
That could totally happen.
Sunday afternoon, I think that the Cardinals are probably going to be okay. They'll get a good crowd. But it's possible, based on the attendance already, that the Battle Hawks could outdraw the Cardinals on Sunday. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. And of course, that's people who aren't going to drive to O'Fallon, Illinois to watch my old man baseball game at the exact same time. That's why we're not anticipating a big crowd, because the Battle Hawks and Cardinals are playing. Just saying.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Mike Ferguson, Gabe Phifer. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
It's Friday!
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here. Exciting things are happening at the Hideout in High Ridge. Famous for the Sunset Patio, 4 big screen TVs, live music and events, and of course, the wings. The Hideout now has a brand new menu featuring handcrafted burgers and new items like their signature sunset dip and Dave's Chili. And now a second location, the Hideout at Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge, featuring great event space. You can stop by for lunch or dinner. The new 2025 Hideout and the new Hideout at Sugar Creek Golf Course. We'll see you there.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No pain, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio 3 times every week yet on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL. The 80s. Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
White spats and lots of dollars, spending every dime for a wonderful time.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Putting on the Ritz. Different types.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
This is was it Taco or Paco was the name of the artist here? Taco. His name was Taco. That's what he went by. One hit wonder.
Yeah.
I loved this song back in the day.
And all it is a modernized,
That's
at
right.
least a version of a really old song.
Very, very old song.
Well, the thing I respect too is that he flipped the entire meaning of the song. The original one is about rich people going to the poor areas and like showing off their wealth.
Right.
This one's a bunch of poor people pretending to be rich
That's
to
right.
mock the wealthy.
Right.
I'm like, that's awesome.
Yep, that's right. All right, 8:21 on this Flashback Friday here. One of the things that we do sometimes on the Not Today Satan thing is what are I guess this is more of
This is tell me something good.
Yeah, tell me something good, because you tell you what days are coming up, National Day of this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
Today is National Pet Day.
Yes.
And so somebody actually already sent in a picture of one of their pets.
All pets
Yes.
are on the table.
I'm pulling it up right now. It's adorable. It's this little puppy. Looks like a wiener dog kind of, and it's
nice.
Looks like it's giving a little smooch to a horse. So
Nice.
For everybody watching our stream right now, you can see that it warms my heart and gets our weekend going well.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's a double pet picture. I
There
love
you
it.
go.
I love
Exactly.
it. Yeah, we used to have a horse.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. Janet got a horse as part of her severance from a company that was going on.
Wait, what?
What?
I've never heard this story before.
No, yeah, this is brand new for you guys. Yeah, she worked for a real estate company. It was a small real estate company in like South County or something like that, and the company was kind of going under. She was the last one out. She was like the one turning off the lights there. But she had gotten a really good relationship with her boss. She actually helped him become a Christian, which was like one of her crown jewels of her experiences there. But he said, I gotta give you something. I want to give you something for having been so loyal and so good for the company.
Yeah.
I know you were underpaid this entire time. What can I do for you? And at the time, she was like, horses are one of her things. Like she's a horsey girl. Right. She worked on a ranch back in the day, and she was like, I really always wanted a horse. So he bought her a horse.
Oh, he bought her a horse.
He bought her. Well, basically, he gave her enough money so that she could go and find a horse.
Wow.
And she did. And what the other thing too is she went and found a horse at this particular ranch, and they had these barn cats that had just been born, and a little kitten comes, tumbling out of the barn and following her around. That's our current kitty.
Oh,
Sassy.
no kidding.
Yes, exactly. So we did get a twofer from that particular ranch there.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
I did. That's
Isn't
I
that
had
fun?
no
Isn't
idea.
that a fun little story?
And the cat distribution system got you.
The cat distribution system got us. Yes, absolutely.
That's funny, right?
It is.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. All right, 8:23. By the way, coming up here at 8:35. I'm looking forward to this conversation here. This is National Second Chances Month. So here's the thing, guys. Check out this conversation here, and then I really want to know what you think about this. His name's Marc Levin, not to be confused with the conservative talk show host. Different guy.
Yeah.
And he's an attorney. He's been involved with Right on Crime, which is the conservative, criminal justice reform group.
Yeah.
And the Second Chances Month is basically about some, not all, some people with criminal records, should they be allowed a completely fresh start with a fresh record at some point. And there are arguments for and against. And I think what everybody agrees is not everybody, depending on what you've done. But we're going to have that conversation right around 8:35. I'm really looking forward to this here. Okay. I want to come back to this story about the Chinese cars.
Yes.
Okay. So this bill that was introduced by Senator Slotkin from Michigan, the Democrat. So basically she wants to allow the Commerce Department to ban cars from China. So Gabe starts looking up, okay, well, what cars are coming from China? Apparently a lot of them.
Yeah. And they're under US brand names. And that's not necessarily just US brand names, but
one of them was
brand names that we recognize.
Yeah, but one of them was a Buick.
One of them was Buick. Yeah. So the Buick Envision SUV is one of the ones that are built in China and sold in the U.S. Followed by Volvo, the Volvo S90, and Volvo actually Polestar turns out to be a Volvo sub brand for their electrical vehicles. Their electric vehicles are sold under Polestar. They didn't want to sully the Volvo name, I guess, with electric vehicles. So the Polestar 2 is made over there as well. Production of the latest Lincoln Nautilus SUV shifted from Canada to China sometime when was this story from? Back in 2024. So basically, there are a number of Chinese components, we'll say, at the very least, that are running around on U.S. streets right now.
Okay, so there's two aspects. There's what she's pitching, and then there's what's probably actually happening.
Right.
So what's probably actually happening is she is the U.S. Senator from Michigan, and she wants a protectionist policy to outlaw competition for her constituents. So basically a protectionist political thing. That's probably the bottom line on this.
Oh, yeah.
And protectionism is very popular across the board right now, with Donald Trump being protectionist in chief at the moment. So maybe getting on that bandwagon and say, look, bipartisan, we can, now here's what she's pitching. And I'm sure that there's some legitimacy to this as well, saying, but these parts can literally transmit data back to the CCP.
Basically, we don't trust the Chinese.
Right. Okay. So which
we shouldn't.
Well, we should never trust them.
Yeah.
So sorry, that one snuck up on me there.
Bless you.
Okay. So is that a thing, Mr. Scientist and Engineer? Okay. Is it possible that your car could be reporting data back to the CCP on you? And if so, does that affect your life in any way, shape, or form? Now, I don't want them to do it, but is this an overblown fear, or is this something that actually could happen?
Absolutely could happen.
Okay.
If I was the Chinese, I would be doing it.
Yep.
And yes, the danger is it goes beyond just, oh no, my personal information is out there.
Right.
The danger,
they knew that I drove to the donut shop.
Right. It's like they don't actually care that you're driving to the donut shop, but there are operational things that you can derive from widespread public information that can actually hurt America. So I would actually be concerned about this from a national security standpoint.
Well, you both have heard of Michael Hastings, right?
Who's that?
The journalist. He had one of the first smarter cars when they started doing the computer stuff, and he was whistleblowing against the CIA, and then suddenly had a rare malfunction happen that cost him his life with his vehicle. So people, of course, went to the conspiracy route and said, well, the CIA definitely got this guy. And then the official response is, no, we don't claim responsibility. However, we do have the technology to remote access and take control of your vehicle if it was deemed important enough that we do that.
That was one of the things that came up when we first heard about the driverless cars.
Yeah.
Because there's some people like, hey,
can't somebody hack it?
Yeah, this is going to be great. I can read the paper. I can scroll through it while the car drives me. And there are rideshare cars that in some cities that now have those. And people looked at me like I had three eyeballs when I said, well, wait a minute. Does that mean that somebody could hack in and take control of your car?
Yes, they can.
I mean, I don't see why they couldn't do that, but that's not what we're talking about China right now, at least doing. What kind of mass information could they be gathering that would be a threat?
Well, if you get a number of people who say, we'll do it this way. If they happen to get some parts into my car.
Okay.
I work at various companies that are defense contractors.
That's true,
I've worked on, some pretty highfalutin things where I've required a secret government security clearance. And I bring my basically LiDAR enabled car onto the property. They could scan everything on that property that I pass.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes. So they could build themselves a 3D map of at least the outside of the facility. Now there are some detection technologies that actually can pass through walls also. If you connect to the wireless network inside a building, you could use the wireless network to create a 3D map of the inside of a building. Yeah, because the thing is that
this is blowing my mind right now.
Because the thing is, okay,
Really?
Wi-Fi is radio waves, right?
Right.
So there's now radio waves bounce off of certain things, and they don't bounce off of other things. So then it's just a matter of getting the proper software to measure where the radio waves are bouncing.
Yep.
So yes, so It's all threat.
I put that story in like when I wrote the news, like at 4:15 this morning, I was like putting it in kind of, well, this is interesting, kind of a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
I had no idea that we were talking about something that potentially that big.
Yeah.
And then think about how many people connect Bluetooth from their phone to the car, right? So a lot of people just think, oh, no big deal. But there are ways to bypass and to get extra permissions from your phone. So all of your contact data, anything you have saved on there, any emails that you might have, like there's a lot you can do with a vehicle of this capacity to get whatever information you want. And I mean, they're doing it with TikTok.
That's it. I'm bringing back the Pinto.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and the thing is, the connectivity that we have, that we're gotten used to now in our new cars. You know how our car is basically a phone. Right. It's got all the kind of same functions. You can download apps and things like that. Well, if you, as the manufacturer, just upload an app that works for you and that you could tap into, that can constantly be transmitting data to you, then it doesn't matter what, like, you'd never know. You'd never know anything was wrong.
So the bad apps. I mean, the good app would be the News Talk STL app, which you can put in there, and you should.
We do not keep your personal data.
No.
And we do not scan the inside of your house using your Wi-Fi, I promise.
And we sure as hell are not going to send it to China.
No, exactly.
Wow,
it's crazy. Yes, sorry, I didn't mean to blow your mind today.
No, I mean, like that's amazing. I mean, I know the technology is out there because I saw this and I'm like, are Chinese cars a big thing now? And I didn't realize it.
Yeah, so that's why I
mean,
say
this is like science fiction movie stuff.
Yes, it is, and we've been developing this kind of stuff for a long time, and this is the stuff that's public knowledge, by the way.
Yeah,
there's other stuff we can't talk about.
By the way, is not that our government would ever do this to us as well.
Of course not, Mike.
Happen,
Gosh,
right?
what are you talking about? That's a complete.
So the American cars are completely
like,
safe. They would never do that to us, right?
Not.
Oh, okay. I feel better.
Yeah.
Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their midst. Putting on the Ritz. Have you seen the well-to-do up and down Park Avenue on that famous...
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Kristen Cornett with your forecast. Mostly cloudy skies today, cooler with a high of 60. There is a chance for a few sprinkles in the morning. By late afternoon, the clouds will start to decrease. Will be mostly clear overnight as we drop to 41. Saturday, sunny skies with a high of 66. Partly cloudy Saturday night, we drop to 49. And for Sunday, sunny and breezy with southerly wind gusts to 30 miles per hour, but it's going to be warm with a high of 79. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Kristen Cornett.
Fox News commentary.
Stephen A. Smith is seriously considering a run for president. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
National security is at risk, and China controls most of the world's supply of antimony, a critical metal for military and defense technology. Military Metals Corp is taking action and securing a Western-controlled supply with projects in Europe and North America. Critical minerals are the backbone of modern defense. Now's the time to pay attention. The stock trades on the OTC under ticker MILIF. Call your broker today or go to www.militarymetalscorp.com to learn more.
ESPN host Stephen A. Smith has officially opened the door to at least the idea of running for president. In a social post, he said, quote, hate the thought of being a politician, but sick of this mess, so I'm officially leaving all doors open. Well, this is a change of tune because just a month ago, he said he, quote, didn't give a damn about the office and that he preferred challenging politicians rather than being one. Smith has been openly critical of both political parties, so it's unclear what he'd run as, but there is polling that suggests he'd have a shot as a Democrat contender. Republican pollster McLaughlin and Associates clocked Smith at around 2% in a Democrat primary head-to-head with other big names such as Kamala, Newsom, and Buttigieg. Important to note that pre-2016 victory, President Trump also polled around that level early on. You know, good for Stephen A. if he really wants to throw his hat in the ring, but I'm not so sure this sudden interest is genuine. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game. It's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
There
is no better way to enjoy America's favorite pastime than cheering on the Cardinals with your family at Busch Stadium. From the thrill of watching the game to the kid-friendly activities, food, and fun, the ballpark has it all. Make magical memories as you cheer together for every home run, double play, and Cards win. Your family summer tradition starts here at Busch Stadium. Grab your tickets today at Cardinals.com. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, Serenity Wealth Management. And joining me in studio this week for Serenity Wealth Now Radio, my good friends Brian and Christian with Precision Raw. We are going to talk about nutrition. Specifically, in honor of National Pet Day, we're going to talk about the furry friends that we have in our lives and the nutritional balance they have, because we are living longer lives as humans right now. But you know what? Maybe our pets can benefit from a more holistic and natural diet as well. So join me Sunday morning, 9 a.m. right here on News Talk STL.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. The 80s.
Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young. Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where are the beat?
It's Flashback Friday.
You see a faded sign at the side of the road that says 15 miles to the
left. Love shack, yeah.
There is always a controversy or a proposal when it comes to law enforcement and public safety and crime and punishment to consider. I mean, I've been doing this media thing for about 30 years now, and there's always something. But is there an underlying principle that we need to reevaluate? April is Second Chance Month, and that may not mean anything to you, but for a lot of people who have criminal records, even felony records, this could mean a new start in life. Why should you care? Well, we're going to get to that in just a minute. I'm Mike Ferguson. I am now joined by Marc Levin, who is the Chief Policy Counsel at the Council on Criminal Justice. And Marc, appreciate you being back on the program. First, let me start with the basic concept, Second Chance Month in April. For a lot of people, they may not know what that means if they don't have any contact with the criminal justice or the penal system here. But what we're really talking about is people who have been through the process, committed a crime, pled guilty, been convicted. And we're talking about people who have completed the sentence, correct? And what is it that's on the table that you're hoping people will consider? And then we'll get into the whys and the benefits and the pros and the cons.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, 70 million Americans, perhaps it's a, ballpark figure, have had a criminal record, but it's certainly close to that. And obviously that's a wide range of things, from misdemeanors to, there's a woman in Texas who got arrested for an overdue library book, right? And of course they're serial killers. So it's a huge spectrum. But, we all, I think, believe everyone should be held accountable for their actions. But the question that we really confront with Second Chance Month is, how do we make sure it's not perpetual punishment forever, and that people have a chance from the standpoint both of redemption, but also what's in the interest of all of us, that everyone have the opportunity to contribute to society by working, by finding a place to live, by raising a family. And when you have a criminal record, that's a lot more difficult. And so thankfully, we've seen quite a bit of progress. Of course, many of your listeners may have seen the appointment of Alice Marie Johnson, who was in prison, federal prison for decades for a very low level role in a drug crime. Of course, she was under the conspiracy laws, even though she was at the bottom of the barrel in terms of the organization. She got all of the drugs that were dealt got assigned to her for purposes of sentencing. But so, of course, she was pardoned by President Trump. She was in the Super Bowl ad, which folks might have seen. But, that's one area of relief. And then also you've got a ways to clear people's records or seal them so that they don't have to say they have a criminal record when they apply for a job or a place to live, although it could still be seen by police and the court system if for some reason, if they did reoffend. And then one of the really interesting areas is occupational licensing. We've seen dozens of states say, look, you should be able to, if you don't have a record that's related to that occupation, you should be able to get a license from the government. And so when I first got involved in this issue in Texas, we were paying our taxpayer dollars to train people to be barbers in prison, but then they couldn't get a license. So we corrected that.
Now we're talking essentially other terms that people use for something like this. We're really talking about clean slate approach and clean slate laws to some degree, right?
Yes, and what that specifically refers to is the automatic sealing of records that under laws in various states, people were already eligible to get their records sealed, but the data showed fewer than 10% of people filed a petition. One would often need a lawyer to do that and the expense, and many people didn't know that they were entitled to get their records sealed. So what Clean Slate does, and it's passed in Pennsylvania, Utah, red, purple, blue states, is say, look, we're going to just, for these offenses that someone's already entitled to have their records sealed, which are typically old and minor offenses, and the person has to have established themselves as being law-abiding for several years in the community, we're going to just do that in an automated way so that they don't have to file a lawsuit or whatever to do that. So millions of records have actually been sealed in this manner.
Okay, so it's obvious what the benefits would be to somebody who's had a conviction and served out a sentence here. But let's talk about the concept of justice. Somebody may be saying, okay, but Mark, but if you do the crime, you got to do the time, and isn't part of the penalty is that it follows you and haunts you? And if somebody's committed the crime, don't we have a right to know that they've got this history? What's the answer to that? Because on a very visceral level, that can resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, no, it's a delicate balance. And of course, there's really a variety of factors to consider. Certainly, for example, somebody who's committed sex offenses against children, they should not be able to go get a job as a child care worker, whether that's a barrier that would be because of licensing or one that would be because obviously their record would be visible. And so those individuals in that category are not covered, and they're appropriately not covered by these types of reforms. So, it does depend on the seriousness of the offense, how recent it is. And we also know that, for example, of sex offenses against children, unfortunately, we don't have, they're not really good programs for effectively the rates of success for treating those individuals, even when they've been through programs in prison and such, are not very good. So, and again, I mean, the big issue is, right, the stakes are so high. I mean, it's one of the worst things in the world to have a child be victimized in that way. So what we're really talking about is, for example, low-level drug offenses, low-level property offenses, and making sure those individuals do have a chance to get a fresh start. In the Bible, it talks about a jubilee after 7 or 8 years or something, where people would be able to have essentially their sins forgiven and such, and be able to get a fresh start. And that's really what we're talking about, is the idea that somebody's paid their dues, paid their debt to society, and now they're really, and they've proven themselves for a certain period of time, to where we know from the data, once you've not committed an offense for several years, you're after 5 years or so, your risk of committing a crime is no greater than anyone else in society.
We're visiting with Marc Levin from the Council on Criminal Justice, and we'll tell you how to learn more about that here in just a minute. Well, that leads nicely into what I was about to ask. Is okay, so we know what the benefit is for somebody who's been through the process and committed the crime and served the sentence. What about for everybody else who says, well, wait a minute, I want a nice, safe neighborhood. What's in it for me? I want to make sure that we keep an eye on the people who are dangerous, who have records, and we just have this concept that once a criminal, always a criminal, as you alluded to a second ago. So what's in it for everybody else? Why should we care? I don't have a criminal record. Why should I worry if somebody else's gets cleared?
Yeah, well, I mean, the part of this that I think is really important is that when people can't find work legally, they're more likely to find work illegally, obviously in drugs and underground economy. So it really is about public safety. It's also about limited government, right? We want to, as much as possible, get government out of the way of people succeeding, even though we recognize public safety is one of the few core functions of government. So, and then in terms of resources, we want to really focus our resources on deterring and preventing crime and solving a greater percentage of crime. And the reality is, I think sometimes people look at crime as like there's this fixed group of criminals for, the rest of their life. And what the research really shows it's primarily young men, and most people age out of crime. That's really, I think people often focus only on what the penalty should be. And if it's rational for you and me, right, penalties would deter us from speeding even. We don't want to get a $200 ticket because we're kind of thinking ahead. We're not hopefully impulsive, we understand the consequences of our actions. But unfortunately for many people, particularly young people that commit crimes, they're not thinking about what the penalties are. They don't think they're going to be caught. And sadly, they're often right on that. Our rate at solving homicides used to be in 1950s 90%. Now it's closer to 50%. Non-fatal shootings 20 to 30%. Property crimes roughly 10%. So fortunately, there's work going on in a number of jurisdictions to boost that by investing more in detectives and forensics, and also building trust between police and communities so witnesses and victims cooperate. So that's really. Crime is a big problem. People are right to be concerned with it, but I think that too often there's the focus on somebody who did something bad decades ago instead of how do we really maximize limited resources to prevent, to deter, to solve the crimes that are happening now.
All right, and we learn more about what you're doing at the Council on Criminal Justice. How?
CouncilOnCJ.org, CouncilOnCJ.org. We have a wealth of resources in terms of data, reports. One of our projects is crime trends. So we really track what's happening in communities across the country in terms of crime rates. And then, that helps then figure out what do we do? For example, there was this is kind of abated because of some fixes, but we had a huge surge in auto thefts, and it was 2/3 of them turned out to be Hyundais and Kias because of defects. So that's why when you get the granular data, it really helps to target the resources in response.
All right. And you can find Marc's article in The Hill called Americans with Criminal Records Don't Deserve a Lifetime Scarlet Letter. Marc Levin from the Council on Criminal Justice. Appreciate you giving us perspective, Marc. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right. What do you think? 314-912-1019. I don't read what he was saying as going soft on crime because he was not talking about avoiding jail time or avoiding penalties. He was just saying that after the penalty is done for most crimes, not all, that you get to truly start over. What do you think? You agree? You disagree? Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the Great Window World. Just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Attention off-road enthusiasts. Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet. Plus, brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit ironbearcustoms.com and mention News Talk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention Newstalk STL for 10% off.
SR1 Sundays.
Aaron Dorr with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. I want to remind you to tune in to Shall Not Be Infringed every Sunday night at 9 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. Part of SR1 Sundays at 6 p.m. it's Stand and Fight with Senator Nick Schroer, followed by Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser at 8. And again, Shall Not Be Infringed at 9. Then download the News Talk app and listen anywhere, anytime to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
SR1 Sundays.
Sunday night at 6 on News Talk STL.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
If the stock market is going down, you know the legacy media will cry out about it. If it's going up, crickets.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. The 80s. Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
Huey Lewis and the News, one of my favorite 80s groups.
This is a good song.
It's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
It's iconic for perhaps to you guys for the music, but there's a movie that used this, and I can't ever unsee.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, American. Have you seen American Psycho?
Oh gosh, forever ago.
Oh man,
Yeah.
some people out there know exactly what I'm talking about, and I will send you the scene later.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, by the way, today is also 8-track tape day. I don't know if you guys knew this.
I did not know that.
As well as cheese fondue day.
Okay.
So both of those have, give me 80s vibes
There
as
you
well.
go.
You have cheese fondue while you're listening to your 8-track of Hip to Be Square.
We had we had an 8-track player in my house.
I was gonna say, what is an 8-track? Is it like an
Oh, no.
iPod? It's like an early iPod.
Well, okay. Eight
It's the
tracks.
size of an early iPod.
Yeah, 8 tracks were the predecessor to cassettes.
Right.
And it was this big cartridge.
Yes. Cartridge is the better word
Right.
for it.
And you would, like, for instance, in our house in Decatur back in the 70s and 80s, we had one of these great big console stereo music players. I mean, this thing probably weighed 300 pounds.
Mhm.
And it had a turntable record player, had the AM FM radio, and it had a 8-track player.
Right.
You know, and you opened up the top of it. It was a beautiful wood piece of furniture. I mean, you saw it, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it had big speakers, in the front that
Kinda
were
built
covered,
in.
kind of looked like cathedral speakers.
Mhm.
And that's how you would listen to your music. And you would take the 8-track and just like
Clunk, clunk. Yes, that's how it goes.
Stick it in there, and that's before cassettes came out.
If you've ever seen like an old school video game console where
Yeah.
it's got a big cartridge.
Yeah.
So it's just that, but it's got the tape like, inside of it, like
spooled inside of it,
it's
yeah.
spooled inside of it like a cassette would. So it's about, gosh, yeah, pretty sizable. Those
Oh,
were
yeah,
pretty
they were pretty
sizable
big.
things. And yeah, clunk clunk is kind of the sound of the 8-track.
And you have all yours next to your Betamax, right?
This was before Betamax.
Even before Betamax.
No, this
yeah.
was before Betamax.
Yeah, exactly. It's a predecessor to
Now
all
I
that.
feel old. Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay. Reactions to this conversation we
Yeah.
just had. Okay. So, here's the thing is you can be good with reform
Mhm.
and also be good with the second chance concept as long as it's not blanket. And
Right.
that's why I was challenging Mark on that.
Yes.
It's like, it's not like for anybody and everybody. There are some states, because I think the last time I talked to Mark, which was a couple years ago on the show, there was the whole, what they call clean slate.
Mhm.
And basically there were some states, and one of them was out West. I don't remember which one it was. But it was basically the lower the level of the offense.
Mhm.
So start with jaywalking.
Sure.
Whatever. I'm just throwing something in there. And then you go all the way up to like, assault or something like that.
Right.
The more serious the offense that you got convicted of or pled guilty to, the longer it would take for that to wipe off your record.
Right.
But in a clean slate thing, it just says, okay, you were convicted of, jaywalking.
Mhm.
You know what? After a year, if you've had no other problems, we're just going to delete it. It's like it never happened.
Mm.
Okay. But something like, I don't know,
Felony theft.
felony theft.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that may be after you complete your sentence.
Mhm.
Well, that may be 5 or 10 years.
Right.
And then if there's something even more serious, it may be 15 or 20 years. And then there's some things that just are not eligible at all, but that was automatic. This is a thing where they're talking about second chances, where people are allowed to go and present a case, depending on the state, saying, okay, listen, I haven't, I completed my sentence. I finished it. Now I would like a clean start, because we have a history in this country of just really not having sympathy.
Oh, no.
And
not at all.
Not saying, hey, you made your bed, you lie in it.
Mhm.
You're the one who committed the crime.
Mhm.
Now, depending on the crime, I think that's fine.
Sure.
But in other cases, we don't really have to have sympathy to go, okay, is it still justice?
Yeah.
And that's the key word. Is it still justice based on the severity of the crime?
And what tends to happen too is in these discussions, the liberal, the what we used to call the bleeding hearts, they would get in. There's like, oh my gosh, it's so inhumane that this person, you lock a human being up in a cage, and they get all kind of up in their feels about how bad the criminals have it on the inside of a prison, and they want to give everybody cable TVs in their jail cells and everything like that. So it's. We can set that aside, but also look at the idea that prison is supposed to be about punishment and reform, punishment and rehabilitation,
right? And protection of the community.
Well, yes, I mean, and yes, in societally, yes, it's protection of the community. For it as it's oriented towards the individuals who are engaged in the system, it's about punishment and rehabilitation.
Yes.
Right. So if we punish you by taking away your freedom and taking years from your life, things like that, and we supposedly rehabilitate you while you're inside, we get you a GED, we get you trained in some sort of trade and whatnot, and give you counseling to deal with whatever issues you came up in, and all blah blah blah. We do all that stuff, and then we let you off back into society after you've paid your debt to society. Right. Now you are now supposed to be someone who can join the community as a contributing member, fully fledged. But because of your record, we make it impossible to do so. That's a recipe for disaster. That's how you get recidivism rates as high as we have, even of those who've gone through all of the quote unquote rehabilitation regimes that we keep implementing. What's the point of giving people education and training and counseling if when they get out they can't do anything with it?
Yeah, they can't get a job.
You can't get a job. You can't get an apartment.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, so I think we have a responsibility, I think, to do that, because not only does it reduce recidivism, but it adds another contributing member to society. That's all good for society.
I mean, you still put yourself behind the 8 ball.
Absolutely. You're still behind.
Okay, so there's a 7-year gap in your work history here. What happened?
I had some trouble in my youth.
Right.
He's
Exactly.
like, it's like, that's fine.
So, but yeah, I mean, are we going to artificially hold back? I mean, so I get the visceral emotional response to it. So you're trying to think less with your heart and more with your brain on this one. But there's a place for, the emotional part of it as well. Man, interesting stuff. Stuff. All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way here in about 6 minutes.
At Complete Forestry